Hey, are you ever going to start this podcast you've been talking about for like forever?
Do you think that anyone will actually want to listen to something like this?
What is your plan for an introduction?
Are you sure you want to talk about these topics? People usually disagree.
3 hours? Are you crazy?
Do you think you're some kind of expert or something?
Are you planning to have an intro song?
What if a bunch of people get really mad and hate you over this?
Do you even know how to make a podcast?
Are you just doing this because you like to argue with people?
Don't let this be just one more thing that you talk about doing, but never actually do.
Wouldn't it be better to do just one episode for each topic?
Stop trying to change people's opinions. Just live your own life.
Dude, people are never gonna agree. Just let it go.
Is this going to be a long intro? Because if it is, I'm bored already.
Welcome back to another amazingly fantastic episode of Why Can't We Talk About That? As always, before we get into this week's episode, I have something to share. I know that some of my rants have been pretty harsh towards certain things. I have often shared my utter frustration with certain people or topics. Today's issue, however, just might be a new number one for me. The most frustrating thing on the planet, in my opinion of course, and your opinion too if you're interested in having the correct view. The issue is CAPTCHAs, and I'm not even sure I'm saying that right. They've been around for quite a while now, but it seems to me that they have gotten extremely annoying over the last few years. For those unfamiliar, the CAPTCHA thing was designed to show the computer you are using that you are indeed a human, so that you could be on your merry way of computer usaging. It used to be that you would just check a box to signify, yes, I am a human. Apparently, the computer was still having problems distinguishing the differences between man and machine, so they started adding pictures that we would need to click on. Pictures of a rhinoceros or Barbra Streisand or something. Because obviously only a human, not a computer, would be able to distinguish the difference between Barbra Streisand and a rhinoceros. Again, all this is fine. It was still relatively easy to click the right picture, and then be able to do whatever it is you're trying to do on the computer. But now, these days, it's terrible. Now we get a big grid where either one picture is segregated into 12 little boxes, or we have 12 boxes with different pictures in each, and our task, for example, is to click all the boxes that contain a motorcycle. In the one big picture example, this would mean that the whole picture would be of, like, a motorcycle parked on the curb next to a McDonald's or something, and we're supposed to click every box that even has a part of the motorcycle. Now, this isn't easy sometimes. Sometimes one square appears to have a little tiny sliver of the motorcycle in it. So do I click or not click? That is the question, isn't it? Or if it's 12 different picture boxes, then now we are supposed to only select the boxes that have a whole motorcycle in it. And of course, they like to throw things in like bicycles, mopeds, handlebars just laying in a field, stuff like that. Ridiculous. And this isn't even the worst part. As annoying as this is, the most annoying part is that they make you do it like 5 times, with different pictures and items. 5 times before you can continue whatever computer work you were hoping to do before the day is over. So if you mess up on even one of these, like you don't choose a box that has a little sliver of a motorcycle in it, then you are denied and need to start all over again. I'm not sure I've ever been more upset with a computer in my entire life than when dealing with one of these things. I click all the motorcycles, then it takes me to another page where I need to click on all the fruit, and of course they will consider a tomato a fruit, but that's a different rant. Once checking all the fruit, and even indulging them by clicking on the picture of the tomato, it takes me to another page where I need to click on all the Barbra Streisands. You get the picture. And this happens like 5 times before it'll let me get through. Is this necessary? What is this for exactly? What are we attempting to protect against? I really need some answers here, and I also need your help to do whatever we can to stop this madness. But in the meantime, let's get to today's episode. This week, my guest is Michelle Aquino. Before sitting down with Michelle, all that I really knew about her was that she worked for the city and that we had a few mutual friends. It was also brought to my attention that she had very different political views than I did, and that she was also very outspoken about those views, which, I was told, would probably make for a great guest to have on the show. I've had many different people on this podcast that held differing political views than me, so I was expecting many disagreements, and that's definitely what I got. However, something that I was not expecting was the number of things we did agree on. Michelle loves punk rock and was once a vegetarian. 2 things that you all would know are also true about me. I always appreciate someone who can have a civil discussion while disagreeing, and Michelle was able to do just that. I learned a lot about her during this discussion, and dare I say, I think I might just have a new friend. Hopefully you will feel the same. Topics included in today's discussion: South Pacific, The Sound of Music, Too Short, Souls of Mischief, Snoop Dogg, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Neil Diamond, Britney Spears, NOFX, Propagandhi, New Kids on the Block, Smashing Pumpkins, Hers, The Suicide Boys, Ghostmane, Dancing, Girl in a Coma, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, Wet Leg, That Dog, Children 18-3, The Cure, Rap music's objectification of women, gun control, Gavin Newsom, COVID lockdowns, Donald Trump, vegetarianism, animal rights, abortion, cemeteries, intelligent design, prayer, Stanley cups, Catholic school, heaven and hell, sin, true and false Bible stories, conviction and guilt, and the moral standard. Oh, and one more thing. I messed up twice, well, at least twice that I'm aware of, during our discussion. When I was discussing NOFX's live album, I Heard They Suck Live, I said that it opened up with the song Sold Out. This isn't true. It opens with the song Linoleum. And secondly, when discussing the band Good Riddance, I mentioned a song of theirs that was about vegetarianism. I said that the song was called Sacrifice. I was wrong. It's called Waste. But since Sacrifice is also a great song, I put it on the playlist anyway. Enjoy the conversation. All right, well, let's just jump in and discuss. How's it going? Tell me a little bit about it. You've been in the area your whole life? You lived...
I grew up in the Bay Area.
Okay.
So I'm not from Santa Maria, but I've been here since 2007.
Okay.
And I came here for the job in the city of Santa Maria.
Which you must have just started right before I did then. Because I know you worked here before me. Because I remember you when I first started.
Yeah.
You may. I don't know if you were on the interview panel. I don't know. I don't remember.
I was on a couple.
You might have been on my interview panel. I remember you from somewhere, even though you don't work at the library. I've seen you around since I first started, and I started in 2008.
Okay.
So
I was January 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. What part of the Bay Area did you grow up in?
I grew up in the East Bay.
Okay.
In a place called Castro Valley.
Oh, never heard of it.
Unincorporated, but it's right by San Leandro, San Lorenzo. My grandma lived in Oakland, and my dad was a policeman there.
Oh, wow. So, in Oakland?
In Oakland. So...
Ooh, that's kind of a scary place to be a policeman. Dang. I mean, at least it is
maybe
now. I mean, if the videos are true, they show... You never know what you can believe with media, but...
He lived it firsthand, so he'd probably agree with you. But I have really fond memories of that place. So.
Okay. Of Oakland itself?
Of Oakland itself. Yeah, I did a lot of growing up there.
Okay.
And Berkeley as well.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always used to say I wanted to live in Oakland, but that's only because I was a huge fan of Too Short. Right?
As am I.
Yeah.
So I have a great story about that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I grew up listening to all that. The Bay Area rap was always my favorite. Like, it was always my favorite. And, but yeah, I always used to joke and I'd say, I literally said I wanted to move to Oakland and be a pimp. That was my life ambition. It's like, yes, when I'm old enough and move out of my parents' house.
I may have felt the same.
That's awesome.
My parents did not approve, of course.
Yeah. I would hope not.
Yeah.
And you have a pretty, from what I've seen on Facebook and stuff, pretty blended family, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yes. I have one son of my own. He was my first. He is 22 now and in the Navy.
And he's married to Marley, who I know.
He's married to Marley. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you know Marley?
I know Charlie and Cynthia.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good friends of mine. So yeah, and Marley used to play on basketball team with me. We did the co-ed basketball with her dad.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So yeah. So I don't know her real good, but yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Okay.
So.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I do know that you know my sister-in-law Amber.
Amber, yes. Yeah. Medina. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Known her for a long time too.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, maybe you can't tell me, but when we first started talking about this podcast, you said somebody recommended it.
Oh, yeah, I can't let you know that.
Dang, okay. I was like, who is that?
Yeah, people always ask me that.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm like, I can't give up my sources, unless I ask them. They're like, yeah, I don't care if you tell her. But
yes, I have a blended family. one stepson, 2 stepdaughters, my biological son from before, and then our son together. So
Okay.
we're no longer together anymore.
Right. Which is pretty recent.
Which is very recent.
Okay.
So that happened in the past year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what a bummer. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I always say what a bummer when I hear that, but I don't know the situation.
A new beginning.
Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know.
Say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife became friends with Amber a long time ago. Oceana and my oldest daughter, Alora, were like good friends when they were little. There's pictures of them when they were like 2.
Yeah.
And now our oldest now lives down in LA. She's married. And then we have a 22-year-old son who also lives here at the house again. He moved out, then he came back. And then we have a 15 and a 13-year-old. We have 2 boys, 2 girls.
Wow.
So
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know?
It is fun.
Yeah, it's got its ups and downs, right?
For sure.
And it wasn't, I'm an only child, so for me it was like, ooh, I never in a million years saw myself being a dad of 4 kids.
Had this much going on around you.
Yeah, exactly. And we were really young when we started. Of course we didn't start on purpose. But it was definitely a what? Wait, we're what now? Okay. Because she was only 17 when we found out that she was pregnant, and I was 19.
Wow.
So, and then I was 20 when she was born, and my wife was 18. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I was only 22 when my son was 21, and my first son was born. It was my last year of college. So.
Yeah. Wowzers.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's been in the military for a while now, right?
He's been in the military for 3 years now.
Okay.
This is his first year in Spain with Marley.
Wow. Oh, they're living in Spain.
I don't have to say wife now. I just say Marley.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm talking about. Yes. They live in Spain. They've been there for a year now. Yeah.
How do they like that?
Love it.
I bet.
Yeah.
I've heard Spain is beautiful.
Traveling, just looking at everything, going anywhere they can when they have time off.
Yeah.
So
no kids yet?
No kids.
Okay.
I don't think they plan on it.
Ever?
That's what I've heard.
Okay.
And
yeah. That seems to be a pretty common thing from that age group. Like that nowadays, that age group is kind of like, we just don't want kids. It's like, well, okay, well. I guess if you don't want them, you shouldn't have them, right?
That'd be key right there.
Yeah. Because if you have them, you're like, oh, I hate that we have kids. This is terrible.
No, I think they've been like firm on that since.
Okay.
Not since they met, because they met in high school, and they were dating quite a while before they got married.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they both share that same.
Yeah.
We don't want to have kids.
Well, that's important. That's one of those game-changing questions you need to ask, right?
That can always change, though.
It can.
You never know.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I hope if it does, they can work it out.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
But I know for me, if I was really big on I can't, that's my favorite thing. I can't wait to be a dad and all this. And then I met a girl and we were getting serious and she was like, I never want kids.
Yeah.
To me, that'd be a pretty big deal breaker for me. It'd be like,
of course.
Okay, I don't think this is going to work.
No.
So it's good that they're kind of both on that same page. But yeah, right. Who knows? Over time, they might be, hey, now we do. And now we're ready, They're
the perfect space right now to have their life together and really see the world.
Right.
That's what I want them to do.
Which is awesome.
I told my son, I know you might want to come home sometimes, but not that I wouldn't want you here.
Right.
I do desperately.
Yeah.
But travel, go. They've been to Paris already. They've been to Portugal. They did a one-nighter up to Madrid just to go to a rave for one night.
Oh, wow.
And then came back and they
Is that far from where they're living in Spain?
I think it was a little, a 1.5 hour plane flight, maybe, not even that.
Okay.
They FaceTimed me while they were there, and it was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool.
So happy for them.
Yeah, I don't even know the geography over there. I wouldn't even be able to tell you if Spain's bigger than England or whatever. I have no clue how big Spain even is. It's they went up to Madrid. It's well, how long is that?
Not much on a plane.
Yeah.
They can take high speed rail. They can fly. So
yeah.
I just told them to do as much traveling as they can.
Yeah. We never had that. Me and my wife never had that. We never had that opportunity to just be not that I have regrets, but it's we're kind of looking forward to retirement in a sense, or at least when the kids are out of the house, because then we can travel.
That'll be the time to do it,
right? Because then it'll be cheaper, and it won't be paying for all these people to go on a plane and everything, So
my situation, I haven't really been able to travel like I wanted to either. So someday.
Yeah.
Someday.
It's on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, I jump into music first. Because that's easy. That is easy.
The easy one, right?
Yes. So I assume you are a fan of music? So you
I am a big fan of music.
Awesomeness. All right. Well, I'd like to start with what's your earliest memory? Like your first time you remember thinking that song's awesome or...
Oh, gosh. Well, I'll have to go back when I was a little kid. And some of my favorite memories are of my dad and his love for singing.
Oh, okay.
And I would always hear stories about him in musicals in high school.
Oh, wow.
I think he did the South Pacific.
Okay.
And so musicals was, I feel like, my first introduction. My parents had a pretty good vinyl collection back then.
Yeah.
I even remember those the smaller ones. What are those, 8-tracks, I think?
Oh, the 8-track tapes? Yeah.
Yeah. But I was really into, I would, like maybe 10, 11, younger. Mm-hmm. I loved any kind of musical. Sound of Music, South Pacific, and Sound of Music were my favorites.
Okay.
So I would come home from school and put their records on and sing.
Oh, nice.
And that's one of my favorite memories was just using that giant, back then those sound systems that your parents had with the record players.
Right. It was like 5 feet off the ground or whatever.
With the glass front that you opened. Yeah. So I did a lot of that.
Okay.
And
do you sing now, or do you like to sing now?
I love singing now.
Okay.
I just do it by myself.
You don't do it. Okay. Never karaoke.
Or
nothing.
Maybe a karaoke here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the choir when I went to school. So
okay.
I went to Catholic school my whole life.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to come into play later.
Definitely. Some of my other really great memories. I'll tell you my Too Short one because this one's really funny.
Okay.
I don't want to say it was my first introduction to Too Short. I can't remember, but I do remember my dad listening to it.
Okay.
And I was like, he was like, "Hey, come hear this," and it's because in the song "The Ghetto," they mention OPD.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, I think he played that song over and over. Like,
that was a good one.
Do you like it that he's mentioning it? Do you not? I don't know what his stance on it was really, but it was funny because I remember hearing that song because he was pointing out when he was mentioning the police department.
Yeah, that might be his best song ever too, in my opinion. I mean, that's one of the better ones.
It's a great song.
Yeah. For me, it was I think the Life Is Too Short album was the first time I ever heard it, and I remember I don't know why he did it this way, but his first 4 or 5 albums, he'd have the first. Of course, this was cassette tapes back when I started listening, right?
Yeah.
So side A would be the clean side. Side B would be the dirty side. So he'd have songs like Oakland, which was clean, and Life Is Too Short, which was clean. And then the other side's Don't Fight the Feeling, and all this raunchy stuff. And it was as a kid, it was oh my gosh. It was this. Of course, now that's everywhere. I mean, every rap song comes out now almost is like that.
Yes.
But back then it was oh, did you hear what he said? Oh my gosh. It was you're showing all your friends oh, look at this, yeah.
When you unfold and look at all the lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. And of course that was always the stuff we try to hide from our parents, because my parents would never let that fly. Because I was only 9 or 10 when I first started listening to that. It was dude, what are you? I mean, I think about my kids now. I was I would never let you listen to that.
How old are you? Are we the same?
I'm 45.
I'm 45 too.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Age. So we're gonna fall in the same probably the same musical era then, as far as what we grew up listening to. Okay. Yeah. Is there any other of the Bay Area rappers that you liked growing up, or just?
He's the only one that comes to mind, really.
Okay.
I think he's just because he's the most well known.
Oh yeah, he's the most because he crossed over big time.
They named Too Short Boulevard.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think it was a portion of the international. Yeah.
Really? In Oakland?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
I haven't been able to go and see it yet.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I heard he didn't even, but this was a while back that he moved to Atlanta. But there was that whole, I don't know if you know about all that beef there. Do you remember the Loonies?
No, I don't.
Okay. They had that, I got 5 on it. They had that song, right?
Yeah. I know that
song. So they had they had 2 big hits, but on their album, it might have been one of those 2 big hits. They said something like, that's why the town got rid of Short. And it was all about how he had moved, because they're from Oakland too, and
Right.
that he had moved to Atlanta, and then he came out with this big old diss track to them, like, who even put you on the map? Like, you wouldn't even be able to be rapping if it wasn't for me, you know? And you little kids are talking crap, you know? It's like, so that was pretty funny.
There's another group from, I don't think they're from Oakland, I can't remember. They're definitely from the Bay Area, the Souls of Mischief.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know where they're from,
They
actually.
have a song that's really good. It's 93 to Infinity, I think, is the song.
Yeah.
I do like that song.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was like, there was like Spice One was another Bay Area rapper back then. Ant Banks. I always forget all the ones. I never mentioned E40 because I don't like him. But
He's
everybody's like, oh, E40.
Tell me how to go, right? Or,
I don't know. Is that
song?
I'm not real familiar with his stuff, so they very well could be.
Tell me how to go. I think that
Yeah,
was the song.
I don't know. So have you been a big like rap hip hop fan for as long as you can remember?
I think so. I mean, I think one of the first albums that I really loved, and I feel like this is for anybody my age, is Snoop Dogg.
Okay,
Doggy Style.
Yeah, yep. Now, did you come into play like with the Chronic first, like with Dre's Chronic, where Snoop first came out?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was Doggy Style.
Doggy Style.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And then everything else came after.
Okay.
So I remember having that, and like the cover was just like, hide that away.
Yeah. Right.
Let's put that tape somewhere where my parents can't find it.
Yeah. Okay.
My friend and I would walk down to this little record store, this music store in the village, and spend our money and then come back and stuff our tapes like in places our parents would never find.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that too. Yep. Had them all my hiding spots, and of course they would always find them though.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and I have to go buy them again or whatever, you know.
And I don't think my parents ever found them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You had better hiding spots.
I did.
Or your parents weren't looking as hard as mine, maybe.
They probably were not looking. Maybe later on.
Yeah. Well, you could always turn it back at your dad and be like, hey, you turned me on to this stuff,
Right.
so I don't know what to tell you.
You introduced me to Too Short. It's not your fault.
Yeah, he's like, sure, you showed me The Ghetto, which is a clean song, but, you know, it opened up the door to all this other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember thinking when he did that, I was like, oh, yeah, I like this. I like it.
Yeah. I can still listen to that song today.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic.
Yeah.
You play it and just, oh man.
It's great.
Takes you back. And that's one of the things I love about music is that it's so, it can transport you back to where you were when you used to listen to that, or, you know, it's awesome to me.
Music for me is, I know there's a lot of people who really study music. They study like the creation of the band, like,
right.
you know, everything that happened during the lifespan of a band, who the people are. I don't get in that deep as much as other people do.
Yeah.
There's a great account on TikTok, and the guy he'll start talking about a band. You know it's a band because that's all he does, but he won't tell you who it is.
Okay.
And you learn the history and like how they started or how they formed.
Okay.
And then as you're going and you hear like little pieces, little context clues, like you're like, wait, that could be that band. And that's kind of how I learned about some bands.
Okay.
It's just been really recently, but
does he purposely not say who it is?
he
so you
purposely
can
not
try to
says,
figure it
so
out
at the
as
very
you go?
end, yeah. And you're
Okay.
just like, oh my gosh, how cool.
Okay. So is it like little known facts about maybe somebody who's famous? And
Maybe some little known, but it's mostly just the story of either that particular artist or the band.
Okay.
And you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And music for me is more about how it makes me feel.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Right.
like, it's just an emotional connection to the music depending on my mood, really.
Right.
You know, if I've got all my genres for what I'm feeling at the moment.
Yeah. Do you have playlists that are for different moods?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally do. It's like, oh, it's raining outside, rainy day playlist, or I'm feeling kind of sad today, sad day or playlist, you know, or whatever. So, yeah. That's awesome.
Like, I'm the type of person I cannot work out or anything like that without music.
Yeah.
It's just,
it
makes me so much more efficient when I'm running or I'm working out that I was like, I need music on.
Yeah.
Or if I'm at work, like I need to concentrate. I can't I can't concentrate in silence. So
okay.
That's just how my brain works.
Interesting.
I gotta have noise.
Now, the kind of work you do, though, do you have to, like, do you talk to people a lot, or are you kind of just doing desk work?
I'm doing all computer.
All computer stuff. And are you reading words on the screen, or are you... or is it all just kind of like busy work that you don't really have to focus too hard on?
Sometimes I'm reading. A lot of it has to do with just data manipulation.
Okay.
And tasks like that.
Does that get old?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
No,
You still enjoy it?
Because I get to work for every department.
Okay.
My job changes a lot.
Okay.
You know, that I've got like things I do all the time, but like something new will come up or...
Okay. Are you in HR?
I'm in IT.
IT?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in IT?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're not... So we have our IT guys that are central to the library, and that's been a rotation. You've never done that, right?
No. It's me and Dawn Scott. We are our own GIS division.
Okay.
And so we handle all of that.
So you're like the head over all of the IT for the city?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
We're just a division within IT.
Okay.
So it's called Geographic Information Systems.
Okay.
And it's basically spatial databases. And
Okay.
So...
Yeah, I'm not very techie.
That's okay.
I don't understand none of that stuff. I'm like, even doing this podcast, like all the techie part my son does for me. I just click record and talk to people, and I give them all of it. Here you go, man. Just make it sound good.
Make it sound good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, that's really cool.
So it's a lot of work, but I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not hard for you to listen to like music while you do that. It helps you.
Well, I mean, if I turn on something that's like, 180 BPM, I can't. That's not gonna help me.
Yeah.
But like at work, I'm listening to The Cure.
Oh, okay.
The Smiths.
Nice.
Just nice, chill,
old 80s kind of stuff.
Mellow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So like for me, like if I'm reading anything, or if like I'm trying to read a book, or even if I'm working, because some of the stuff I do upstairs at work is like I've been doing it for so long, I don't need to think about it.
Right.
It's just like, okay, put this here, do that, put this, okay, print a label, put it on, whatever.
Yeah.
And I can listen to words like in music or a podcast or something, it's no problem. But like if I'm trying to read something, I can't have words going in my ear.
Oh, at the same time.
It messes me all up. Like if I'm trying to read a novel, like, or something, or not even nonfiction or something, I'm trying to learn something or whatever, or study, I have to have like maybe instrumental music is no problem. But it's like I just can't, I don't know, maybe it's a guy thing. They say women are better multitaskers, but like I can't have two forms of words going into my brain at the same time. I can't.
That makes sense.
I can only focus on one, so I'll find myself like listening to the lyrics and not reading what I'm trying to read, or vice versa. And I'll be like, okay, not that I have to listen to lyrics, especially for songs that I know already. Right. But yeah. Okay.
Maybe that's why, because when I tend to listen to music, I'm not really focusing on lyrics. It's more, the beat, melody, like what's, so yeah, and I think I'm both. I think it just depends. There's some songs that it's the lyrics that really hit me. That's the most, like, that's why I like the song so much. And there's other songs that the lyrics are dumb, but the beat's awesome. It's just such a good song. Like whether, like you're saying, for working out or something, where you need some pump up music or something, just kind of get you going. Wow. All right. So now, as you're an adult now, we talked about you a little bit of it as a kid. Do you have a favorite genre? Ooh, as an adult, I don't feel like I can stick myself in one genre.
Okay.
I feel like I lean towards. Well, let me just go over some of my favorite.
Let's hit it. Yeah, let's do it.
So, like high school, I loved Doggy Style, and I also loved Creedence Clearwater.
Okay, because those are so similar.
Right, they're very similar. My first concert was Neil Diamond.
No way.
My aunt got tickets for her and my mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my mom does not like crowds. She doesn't want to be in a concert setting. So she didn't go, and my aunt took me. Okay. And I was in the aisle dancing by the end of that concert.
And how old were you at that time?
Probably 9, 8.
Oh, okay. So pretty little. Okay.
Yeah. It was great. That was my first concert.
Nice.
So I've been to Britney Spears in Vegas. I love Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed.
Okay. That's a bold statement. That is a very bold statement.
I love her. She's great.
Yeah.
I've been to the Ice Cube concert that was just here a couple years ago.
Did you go to that?
I did go.
Okay.
Loved it.
I was an Ice Cube fan as a kid. Obviously, I grew up listening to NWA and then all his solo stuff. I mean, I loved his solo stuff even better than NWA.
NWA. Okay.
Yeah, there's NWA. That's some more wholesome music I grew up listening to. But when I heard, I didn't go to the show, but when I heard who else was playing, like I heard Second to None played, I was like, Second to None? I haven't heard those guys since like 92 or something, 93, you know. There was a couple others. I don't remember who else played now. But there's a few others.
With all of them on it.
Okay. I was surprised at how many. It was good. Big playlist. Or a bill. I was like, dang, it's a lot of people.
And that concert went off without a hitch.
Yeah.
Everybody was cool. There was such a good vibe.
Right.
I think everyone had
no fights. Okay.
No problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's always a concern, right? I mean,
always.
I mean, it's Santa Maria, but I mean, you know, it's not like it's South Central or something. Right. You're going to a show or whatever. But
I know the hype of like, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I was like, have you not been to a concert at any huge venue before?
Right.
So.
And that one was outdoor, right? It was at the fairgrounds?
Yeah, it was at the fairgrounds.
Okay. Yeah, because my cousin owns Cool Hand Luke's, and they catered it or something. They had some kind of catering thing there or something. So he had sent me some video. Maybe,
Yeah, there's a lot of food trucks.
Okay, that's probably what it was then, yeah. But he had sent me some video. Like, I was like, oh, dude, yeah, I forgot what songs. They were like old songs, like 90s songs. Like, Today Was a Good Day or some of those ones, you know.
That's great.
Okay, that's really cool.
So college, it was a little different. I loved NOFX at that time.
Dude!
I actually still love that.
I'll tell you this right now. When we first, I don't know anything about you, but you come in here and sitting down. There's never in a million years I thought you would throw out a '90s skate punk band at me like that.
Okay.
Yeah, NOFX, my top 5 favorite bands of all time.
Really?
Oh yeah,
great.
Love NOFX.
Yeah,
awesome.
I was really excited. This is just a little side note here, but
we do those here.
I found their biography at Gavin's. And I haven't read it yet, but
the book.
The book.
Okay.
And I'm so excited to find it.
I haven't read that either, but Fat Mike talked about it in some of the newer songs where he's talking about all the stuff his daughter found out about him from reading that biography. Like,
I'll let you borrow it when I'm done with it.
Yeah, actually, I do want to read it.
I was so excited.
Okay.
Like I told Darren, I was like, I can't believe you have this.
Okay.
It's like, what is it? I don't know.
So let's go into that a little bit. So how did you get introduced to NOFX? Like, what was your first introduction to them?
I really feel like back then it was my roommates, Heidi and Lisa. Like I think they listened to NOFX a lot. And then it was my oldest son's dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
he was into it.
I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember like what the first album you heard or the first song or anything like that?
I think the first album was, can I say it?
I don't know.
The White Trash.
Oh, Two Heaves and a Beam?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can say that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right.
That's fine.
Yes. I mean, back then I knew that inside and out.
Okay, yeah. That was my first, well, other than the live album, I heard They Suck Live. That was the first album I ever heard by them, which is not like me. Normally I won't listen to a live album until later. But I had just barely started getting into the 90s punk, which is my favorite genre, by the way, to this day, my favorite genre. And I had started getting like Bad Religion and Pennywise and all those. And my friend had the cassette tape of I Heard They Suck Live, and he pops it in and is like, dude, who is this? He's like, oh, it's NOFX. And it opened up, was sold out. And I was like, that's like one of my favorite songs of all time, you know, which is on White Trash, Two Heaves and a Beam. And then I remember buying that album. That was the first actual CD I bought, was the White Trash one. And that's to this day, I think probably from Longest Line, then White Trash, and then Punk and Drublick. I think those three
I remember that one
are their best. I mean, to me, that's the best NOFX. Like they had 3 or 4 albums before that, and they had a bunch of albums after that. They're all good, but to me, that was their sound.
Yeah,
that was where it was at, man.
Sure.
That was so awesome.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to see them live?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
I got to see them just once.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Where?
at Ventura Theater.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, that's where most of the shows I've been to are at Ventura Theater, but that was back in '98. 99. It was a long time ago. So, and they recently quit. Did you hear that? They're done. Yeah.
No, are they?
It's time. I think it's time.
How old are they now?
They're pretty up there, and they just decided it was, quit while you're ahead, and his voice was starting to go a little bit, and it's just not the same, so.
Definitely go down in history.
Yeah.
For that.
Oh yeah. So cool.
When I find people that like NOFX, I'm like, okay. Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear it very often,
right?
Especially now. Like when I was in high school, you could find that whole group of people that were all the punk rockers, they're like, oh yeah, these are the bands, I was like, oh cool. But nowadays, I freak out when I find somebody like that, I met a 20-something-year-old kid.
My gosh.
Yeah, that was all into the 90s punk. And he was even in a band where he's making that stuff. And I was like, dude, nobody's making music like this anymore.
What's that band called?
Well, he's gone through changes. They were called Zest. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're still Zest. But they're not together anymore. They just did like a 4 or 5 song EP or something. It's actually, do you remember Lee that used to work for the city at the library?
Lee Cryer?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So it's her nephew. Oh. And it's funny how this all happened because my son is a musician and he writes music and I put it on Facebook. I used to share some of the songs and stuff, and she had listened to one of them. She goes, and it was one of my son's more screamy kind of songs.
Yeah.
And she goes, my nephew makes music like that where it's pretty hard, screamy kind of stuff. I was like, I'd love to hear it, right? Yeah. Which I listened to it and it wasn't, but it was like, okay, I get it. But, so I listened to it.
Screamy, right?
So that kind of connected us, and then we started just talking on Facebook, and I've actually never met the guy in person, but, he'll send me some of the demos and stuff they're working on. And he's in another band now called something Grimlock, I think it's called, or something. He's in the Seattle area. So, but then he was also, I don't know if you remember the punk band Diesel Boy. Do you remember that? They're kind of lesser known, but they were on Fat Mike's record label.
Okay.
This my friend, he plays guitar for them now. This young kid.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's playing with all these 90s kind of punk guys. Like,
that's a dream for him. Oh man,
yes, it's so cool. Wow. Yeah, that's so
great.
Cool. So anyway, so that was a tangent, but I get excited. I had no idea you would even throw NOFX out of me. So, all right. So what else we got?
I can see it right there. It's on here.
Yeah. And Minor Threat, dude.
Minor Threat.
Woo!
Yes.
Dang.
I liked Minor Threat too.
Okay.
I got my Propagandhi CD in here. I should just
you're killing me.
To this thing right
you're
now.
killing me right now. I can't even believe. I seriously cannot believe we're having this discussion.
Yeah.
You went from Britney Spears to NOFX to Propagandhi.
I'm pretty sure Britney Spears is right next to Propagandhi. Well, Moby, Saturday Night Fever, Sound of Music.
Okay. Yeah. And then you got How to Clean Everything by Propagandhi. Okay. Yep. Very nice.
That's my intro to them, and that was pretty much my only.
Oh, you got to keep going.
Okay.
They're still great.
I'll keep going.
Yeah, they are. So that's their first album. Then they had a second one, which is great. The third one gets a little heavy. And then after that, they kind of go back to more of the skate punk stuff. But it's, yeah, I think it's all, I mean, especially if you like those kind of lyrics and stuff. They're very political. And,
I loved that album for
it was
many
great.
reasons.
Fantastic.
I think that was my animal activist.
Okay. See, I was
era.
Too back then.
Oh, were you?
I was a vegetarian for 15 years.
I was vegan back then.
Oh, wow, you're hardcore.
Vegetarian on and off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Until recently.
And now you eat meat now?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about that later.
Beastie Boys, Rage Against the Machine.
Okay. Nice.
Weezer, definitely a fan of Weezer.
All right.
I forgot to mention my New Kids on the Block concert.
Okay.
I can't believe
You saw them live?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe I didn't mention that first.
Okay.
I was in love with them.
Who was your favorite? It had to be Joe. Okay. I was going to say, it was always either Jordan or Joey. It was one of the two.
Oh, my gosh.
All the girls I knew, they loved one of those two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely Joe.
Okay.
I remember that was elementary school days, but this girl and her name was Gina Pasquini, and we used to fight about whose name sounded better with McIntyre at the end and who was actually going to marry him.
Nice. And neither of you did, I'm guessing.
No. Maybe she dated him, but No, it was so fun. We both loved Joey.
Okay.
Oh gosh, and I got to go to one concert of theirs.
Wow.
Actually, no, I got to see them at Santa Barbara Bowl.
Like recent, like as an adult?
In the last 13 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So kind of their comeback tour or whatever it was they were doing. Yeah.
And I love all their music. I love it.
Okay.
Even the new
Do
stuff.
they still make new music?
Not recently.
Okay.
No.
Because I knew they had the Hangin' Tough, and then they had Step by Step, and they had a Christmas album, and I don't know anything after that. Like that was the last I thought that because Step by Step didn't do as well as Hangin' Tough did.
Oh gosh, it's such a good album.
See, I've never heard the album. I've heard the song Step by Step, but that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I liked some of their more recent stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so now that I got that out of the way, I was like, I can't believe I forgot them.
Yeah, well, I was kind of a closet fan, like in elementary school. Like it wasn't cool for a guy to say he liked them, but they had some good songs. Yeah, they had some good songs.
And just because I loved them, I think everybody assumed I was going to be into boy bands.
Right.
But,
right.
No thanks.
No, you went to
NoFX
NoFX and Propagandhi of all things.
NSYNC, no thank you. I'll just leave it at New Kids.
Okay. Yeah. How did you get turned on to Propagandhi of all things? Who showed you that?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, the only reason I got to that is because of NoFX, and they were on his label.
I feel like it was my friends at the time. That was like our little, our vegan animal activist group.
Oh, that's why, right. Yeah. It was because of their vegan
kind of
stuff.
Music.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. Well, see, then you would like maybe not now, you're not an animal activist, you probably would have liked their second album more, because they have a lot of songs. It was called Less Talk, More Rock. And that's
the only one I ever bought.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I didn't listen to it.
They had a lot of animal rights songs on that second album. Yeah.
I'll probably give that a listen. I still love it. I still like their music.
Okay.
So.
Did you ever listen to Good Riddance, the band Good Riddance?
No.
Okay. They had a lot of songs like that too. They were another 90s skate punk band. Also on Fat Records, the same record label as Propagandhi was. And they also were vegetarian. I don't know if they were vegan, but they had a lot of songs. They have a song called Sacrifice, I think it's called. That's all about, slaughtering. He's talking about burn their slaughterhouses to the ground, that kind of thing. So pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's a great topic.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it in a little bit because my wife is still a vegetarian.
Is she?
She wasn't when I met her, and I was, and then she became one shortly after I did, and we'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
And I'll tell you my reasons why I am no longer a vegetarian. But
I go back and forth, so
okay.
I'm definitely a walking hypocrisy.
Okay.
So.
Hey, at least you're open to that.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
I can admit it. So.
Yeah. So, all right. What else we got?
Okay. So one of my favorite bands is the Smashing Pumpkins. Mm-hmm. So I listened to that early on, and besides having amazing music, I did get to go to their concert in 2022.
Lucky.
My son took me.
2022, so that's recent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his gift to me before... Can't start crying.
Yeah, that's all right.
That was his gift to me before he went to Spain.
Okay.
And I listened to that a lot when he was growing up. And he... we had a good discussion recently, and he was like, I'm so thankful for you and Dad because you really opened my eyes to music. Mm-hmm. Like his taste in music, I'm always messaging him. It's like, hey kid, like give me something to listen to.
Right.
I need something new.
Yeah.
And he'll throw out something, and usually I really like it. Sometimes I don't. But the Smashing Pumpkins was our thing.
Okay.
And
he's a big fan too.
He's a huge fan.
Okay.
And our favorite song is 1979. And one of the reasons he loves that song so much is like we had a lot of... I was a young mom. Mm-hmm. His dad was a young dad. Mm-hmm. And, there was a lot of issues back then. Just trying to finish college.
Sure.
And the relationship between me and his dad. And he said that one time something had happened. It was just me and him in the car. And I put that song on, and he just remembers it being like a song that we shared together that just made us feel better.
Oh, okay.
And
that's so cool.
So when it played at the concert, like we just sat there and held each other and cried, and it was a lot of their songs do that.
Yeah,
and
what a moment.
I love that he loves it and he remembers it as a kid. And,
yeah, that's so cool to have that with him.
Yeah, and one of my other favorite bands is a band called Hers.
Hers. Never heard of them. I've heard of him. I know there's a band called Him.
All these pronouns over there.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's a band called Hers.
Okay.
And
is that an acronym for something, or?
No, I don't think so. They formed in 2017 out of England, Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was.
Okay.
And just two young kids, and it was back in 2020 during COVID, like height of COVID.
Yeah.
He was at home still, waiting to go into boot camp. And he was in his room, and I heard this song come on. And the intro to that song is just beautiful.
Okay.
And then...
What was the name of the song?
It's called What Once Was.
What Once Was, okay.
And when the guy started singing, I actually thought it sounded like... Do you remember that song by the Crash Test Dummies?
Oh,
that really low, deep voice.
Whoa, there was this. Yeah. Yep.
So the voice sounded similar to me, and I remember hearing the intro and then the voice, and like I wandered from the kitchen into like the hallway, and then I'm just like, this is such a great song. What is this? And I go into his room, and we just stand there and listen to it, and I was like, gosh, this is such a great song. Like, who is this? And he's like, oh, it's this band called Hers.
Okay.
And I said, oh, it sounds like the singer of this really old band. I thought that's what it was.
Is it?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
No.
I would say that'd be a cool little twist.
It would have been.
It's a new band that guy started.
Here's the twist, though.
Okay.
So we listened to it a couple more times, and I just fell in love with this song, and he loved it too. And he's like, Mom. And I said, who is this band? Like, I want to get into them. Like, I want to see them.
Yeah.
They actually died in Arizona.
The whole band?
The whole band. It was just two of them and their manager. They got, and so I think it was a drunk driver that hit
Oh
him
my gosh.
and killed him in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. So they only came out with 2 albums, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
And that became, like, besides Smashing Pumpkins, that became our song.
Okay.
So it's called What Once Was.
Okay.
It's about, I think the singer it's a song about his mom.
Okay.
So.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So this is a band that your son shows to you.
Shows to me.
And then Smashing Pumpkins is what you showed to him.
Yes.
Yet you each have these songs in each band that's so cool.
And I listened to that song got me through him being gone, like him leaving.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me and his little brother.
Yeah.
They're best friends. And
how old is he?
He's 12.
He's 12, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was also the song we danced to, the mother-son dance at his wedding.
But you were just bawling your eyes out.
Yeah, we were. I don't even think we moved for like 30 seconds. We just stood there and hugged and cried.
Yeah.
So I cried when the song came on. I hadn't even gotten on the dance floor yet.
Right.
So that song.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I've never heard of them.
Yeah. Give them a shot.
And in some weird way, I don't know if it's just my twisted mind or whatever, but like whenever you hear, and they're all dead now.
Yeah.
There's something about you that just kind of just me like, oh, now I want to hear it even more.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that is, but I know I'm not the only one because working at the library, whenever a singer dies or somebody dies, you see their CDs are just flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
You got all these holds coming through. It's like, oh, Sinead O'Connor. Everybody's checking out Sinead O'Connor now, right?
Yes.
Like, or whoever it is that just passed away. It's like, oh, everybody wants these CDs now.
Right.
That these CDs probably haven't checked out in 10 years.
Right.
But
Nobody
now
cared.
everybody wants to listen to it,
It's the morbid side of it.
Yeah, I guess. It's just kind of weird.
Maybe.
It's just kind of weird. I remember the first time I ever heard a Tupac song after he had died. And to me, it was really surreal. And I just remember thinking to myself, this guy, he's gone.
He's gone.
Right? But I'm still listening. Like, he's not gone. He's right here. He's coming out of my speakers, but he's gone. It was weird to me, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I think he didn't tell me because he wanted to really make sure that I was like locked in.
Right.
Like I really liked him.
Yeah.
And then he let me down.
Oh, so he already knew that already.
He already knew they had died.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, gosh, this is such a great song. Like, what other albums do they have?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I would say my taste in music now, at the moment, because I'm changing all the time.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah. And it's very influenced by my son, is, I guess it's a genre, like it's still considered hip hop and rap, but it's more like a little bit metal.
Okay.
A little bit, I don't know what they call it, dark trap.
I don't know. All the genre, there's so many now.
It's so weird, right?
Yeah,
like,
when I was a kid, there was rock, there was country, there was rap, and now there's like millions of them, and all these little subgenres and stuff. Yeah, it's
underground
nuts.
rap or whatever.
Yeah.
But the artists, like, it was really funny because my Spotify Wrapped were all of these artists and then Taylor Swift. So.
Nice.
But I don't know if you've heard of them. It's Suicide Boys.
Nope.
Ghostmane.
No.
Puya.
Nope.
Ramirez.
Nope.
Bones.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never heard of any of them. I heard of Bone Thugs and Harmony, but that's something different.
That's not it. But I really enjoy that sound in music.
Okay.
And the lyrics are a little, they could be a little dark and interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's more about the sound.
Okay.
Ghostmane's voice I really, really like. And then the way that the Suicide Boys rap, sing, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So that's, like I said, you'll listen to, if you give it a try, you listen to it.
Yeah.
And then you picture that with Taylor Swift on my my Spotify Wrapped. It'll be a little bit of a contrast.
But that's cool. And I'm that weirdo who before like iPhones and playlists and all that, I would have mix CDs that I would make myself of just my favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I would listen to it with other people and they'd be like, how can you listen?
How can you go from this to
how
this?
can you go from hip hop to country to like screamy death metal to like this? It's like, I just like it. I like all of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'd be like, well, I do too, but I don't want to listen to it but like one after another. Like I'd rather just listen to a whole metal album and then a whole rap album and then or whatever. It's like, no, not me. I like it all. So
I think it's because we're complex.
Yes,
right?
it could be. Yes, we'll say that. That's what we'll say.
I'm
We're
say
special
that.
and unique, and no one's as cool as us.
Super complex, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really how I feel about music. Is those are the two things that I think about. Is like, how does it make me feel? Number one is like, I love dancing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of my biggest expressions.
Okay.
Is dancing. Can it make me dance?
What kind of dancing? Like just going to a club and dancing? You're talking about like choreography dancing?
I love a club. No choreographed.
Okay.
Just moving how I feel.
Just
moving my body how I feel.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, can the song make me dance?
Okay.
And if I can feel it, great.
All right.
I love it.
And you just do your own thing. You just get out there and go to town.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think that's influenced a lot by my parents and my family. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like an expression. I have a big Mexican family.
Okay.
You know, lots of dancing, lots of music. I grew up with a lot of Hispanic music too.
Are both sides Hispanic, mom and dad on your?
My dad's Filipino and Mexican.
Okay.
My mom's Mexican.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, what can I dance to it, and what emotion does it evoke in me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like good, bad. Like if I feel something, like I'm drawn to it.
But do you ever find yourself like with things like going back to like NOFX or Propagandhi? That's not really dance music, right?
No, that would be more the emotion.
Okay.
Like, you know, like in those particular types of genres, like more the lyrics, you know, more like what I'm trying to say, or more that kind of feeling.
Okay. That's cool that you have different things, different kinds of music does for you.
Yeah.
You know, so when you talk about dance, you're talking more like probably hip hop or like, you know, like
I like
just
a lot of
dance
EDM.
music.
I like, like, you know, electronic.
Okay.
I've been to my share of raves when I was younger.
Okay.
So
you said that under your breath. I don't know if I want anybody to know that. I mean,
you know,
but I already told them I like Britney Spears and New Kids on the Block, so I guess I can keep going.
If I could say I love Britney Spears and I'm not ashamed,
that's right.
Like, anything else?
Yeah, the door's wide open now.
Right?
There's no need to hide anything at this point.
So
okay. So I don't know if you were going somewhere with the dance that we got cut off there, or if you.
No, it's just that's kind of how I judge music.
Okay.
You know, like I like if it can make me feel something.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. Yeah. No matter what that is. It
no matter what it is.
Dancing, happy stuff, or even emotional, sad stuff like the songs from Smashing Pumpkins.
I'm a very emotional person, but I find that music is a great catalyst for both. So, this past year has been a pretty hard year.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm plugging along and I can just feel it creeping up inside, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Now's the time. Yeah. And I'll put some music on and get it out and do what I need to do. And then I'm fine. I'm ready to go again.
But not when you're driving. Right. There's certain songs I can't listen to when I'm driving because if I get all blurry eyed, I can't even, I got to pull over.
No, driving is good for rage songs,
Okay. Like screaming your head off to certain songs.
Oh, my favorite songs to do that to are the song, I have to think of it. But first is Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Especially the last half of that song, right?
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times I'm driving home from work and playing that one. Not because of work, though.
Yeah, that album is, I liked Evil Empire. I liked Battle of Los Angeles. I liked all those other ones. But that first album is so solid. Every song on there. I wish more of their stuff sounded like that, all their other albums, and I wish they would go back or whatever. They just announced they broke up. Did you see that?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Great.
That was yesterday. They literally had a tour planned.
Oh my
They had a whole tour plan, and they announced the tour's canceled and they're breaking up.
I remember hearing about the tour.
Yeah,
and I don't know. That would be a great one to see.
Yeah. Oh man. But I remember the first time I ever heard that video, Freedom. I just fell in love with that.
Dang.
It was just epic. And then getting the album, I was like, oh, the album's so good. And I still can listen to that one all the time. Bomb Track, Killing in the Name of.
Yeah.
Freedom. What else is on there? Know Your Enemy, Bullet in the Head. It's just so good. So good. But yes, I agree with you. That is definitely get your aggressions out kind of music.
Get it out. Be done with it. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one is a very vulgar song, but it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who sings it?
I can't.
Can you not even say the name because it's vulgar?
No, I can say the name.
Oh, okay.
I just have to remember it.
Oh, you don't remember the...
No, I don't remember the name of the song. I know the very... Yeah. Let me go to it real quick. Oh, it's Big Sean and E40.
Oh, E40. There you go. He's coming back. Okay. I haven't heard that one.
Oh.
Yeah. But I'm not an E40 guy. I've never been an E40 guy.
You wouldn't have heard
I'm not a fan. Yeah, I never have been.
So that's a good get it out song,
too. Okay. Two totally different kinds of music.
Two totally different kinds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's a hard question when people ask me my favorite genre.
Yeah.
At the moment or...
Exactly. Right?
All time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I always say it like this. I like everything. People say, what's your favorite genre? Good music.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind it is. If it's good, I like it, right? But I still always say, but there's nothing to me that's the same as 90s skate punk. Love it. I just love it so much.
Yeah,
I can't even...
It is great.
There's hardly any band in that genre that I listen to and I go, oh, I don't like that. You know what I mean? It's almost... I like some more than others, but it's it's all good to me.
One of my favorite... I've listened to a few of your podcast episodes.
Okay.
I've listened to probably about 5 now.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
One of my favorite takeaways is when you guys talk about the music. Because I'm sitting there and I'm pausing every few minutes or so and looking up all these artists that you guys are talking about.
That's so awesome.
The one that I listened to recently, it was this woman.
Okay.
I think it was your second episode.
Of
and
which
it was
season?
Girl in a Coma.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've been listening to that for the last few days.
And you had never heard of it before that?
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, I had never heard of it before that either. And now I have all their albums.
Great.
And I listen to it all the time. I love it. Yeah, I love it. So, that was Cindy.
Okay.
She used to work at the library too. She was up in Reference.
Did she?
Uh-huh. Yeah, she was there for a couple years. She's not there anymore. You probably know if you saw her.
By face, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, she was really cool.
But I was like, hey, let me check this out. And then it was that was it.
Yeah.
Favorite or a saved artist.
Yeah.
I was listening to
that girl, that voice, man, so unique.
Yeah.
Never heard anything like that before. And
they sing in English and Spanish. And
they have that covers album where they do those really cool covers.
Yes.
Yeah. It's great, man. Yeah, I really like it.
That was I've
awesome.
got a lot of suggestions that I put on there.
That's so good to hear for me. I love that because that's kind of the point, and that's the point for me. That's what I'm hoping. Like even these bands you're naming right now that I've never heard of, my plan is to go look them up later and listen. Because I'll find my favorite bands sometimes that way. Yeah. Because how else am I going to find it? Because some of the best music will never be on the radio. It'll never be on MTV. It'll never be on any of that. You know? Of course, music really isn't on MTV anymore anyway. But
MTV days. I remember that. That was the best.
Oh, wasn't it? It was great back in the day.
My brother's 5 years older than me, and I just remember him sitting there waiting for the videos to come on, and then we'd hit record on the VCR. And
yeah.
I was 5 years younger, so anything he did, I wanted to do too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just the two of you?
Just the two of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, for a while there, he influenced a lot. Like I don't know if you ever even heard of this group. It's called Ladysmith Black Mambazo.
Yeah. You know how I heard of them? Sesame Street.
Oh,
they were on Sesame Street.
On Sesame Street.
Yep.
Right, and I was like this little kid, and my brother was into them. Well, maybe not little, but like definitely not someone you would assume would listen to that. Yeah. But my brother went and taught in Africa for a year.
Oh, so cool.
He was teaching English, and he got really into that band, and then I started listening to it. And
I think it's great.
I love when people give me suggestions of things. Exactly. How are you going to find some of these artists or some of these bands that aren't mainstream? You know? Like they're mainstream. But,
well, if you're ever, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but early on in this season, a friend of mine had suggested, because she was doing the same thing you're talking about. I pause and write down.
Write down.
But she said, I'm driving a lot of the time. I can't. She says, is there any way you can put like a playlist in the episode description? So I started doing that.
Yeah, you put
so it's all on there. Yeah, the band and the song and the year it came out and the whole deal. You know, and I'll usually
much more logical.
I'll usually send an email out.
I have fun listening at the same time.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool to pause it and then look it up and then pause it and look it up. That's awesome.
I would listen a little bit on Spotify and I'm like, I don't like that one.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, why do they like that? That's terrible. But then other times it's like, oh my gosh, it's like my new favorite band. You know, or whatever. Yeah. So with Girl in Coma, that's the way it was for me.
That's the way it was for me too. I was like, so wow, awesome. This is great.
Who they've also broken up now, but all these good bands that you like keep breaking up.
Dang. Speaking of girls, like there's Wet Leg. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Never heard of it.
Great. Okay. And then way back when, there's a band called That Dog.
Nope.
Also great.
Never heard of it. These are all female fronted.
Females, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I prefer, especially in hard rock bands, I prefer a female vocalist. I love when there's, honestly, I've always liked when they have two singers that sound very different. So if there's a male singer and a female singer, they're both doing leads. Love it. There's a band called Children 18-3. And most people haven't heard of them. It's one of my favorite bands of all time, and it's actually 3 homeschooled siblings. And the one brother plays drums, the other brother plays guitar and sings, and then the sister plays bass and sings, and they're phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's very punk rock, a lot of it's pretty fast, but the way that he'll be singing and she'll be in the background just doing harmonies that don't necessarily go along with what he's singing, but it just
somehow fits.
I just love it so much. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, they've broken up now, but they put out 4 albums before they did, and they're all fantastic. So but I've always loved that. Like even a band like Blink-182 that has 2 different singers, you know, I love that.
I do love
you know, because it's like you got one song, the one guy will sing all the lead, next song the other guy will sing all the lead. But my favorite Blink songs are the ones where they both trade off in the same song. I love that.
Yeah.
It's just so awesome. So yeah.
Great.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's see. We're nearing the end of the first hour already. Can you believe it?
I don't know.
Nuts.
Didn't seem like
nope. It's gonna fly by.
Okay.
I have a lot of people are like, they're always hesitant, like, I don't know if I could talk for 3 hours, and then we get to the end and it's like, what? It's been 4 hours. What?
Can we still talk about music? Or?
Yeah. You don't want to get into the good stuff?
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
sure.
No. But we got a little bit more music. We'll go with. Let's just jump to your, and again, these can be some of the ones you've already mentioned, or not. Either way, I'm sure that some of them are going to be the ones you've already mentioned because we've been talking about your favorite music. But if you could do like it doesn't have to be 5. Just give me some of your top favorite all time, still stand up today stuff. You know, either something you liked back when you were a kid that you still like today, or stuff that you just learned a year ago and now you still really like? Just like in your top, like what would you say is your like
top
favorite?
5
Yeah, 5,
artists?
10, 12, whatever you want to give me. You know,
well,
just
shoot.
I know that's a really difficult question, especially for people like us that like all these different genres.
Gosh. Well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to say The Cure.
Okay.
Is one of my top.
All right.
Smashing Pumpkins for sure.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
I always tell people when I ask this question that I couldn't do it. Like if you were to ask me this question, I totally couldn't do it. I could give you maybe my couple, but
The Suicide Boys.
Okay.
Love them.
Okay.
I'll have to say that. This is very hard.
Yeah.
Dare I say, but I will. Britney Spears. That's fine. I love her.
Okay. All right. All right. So now give me, if you can, 2 or 3 favorite songs from each of those. Could you give me 2 or 3 favorite Cure songs? If not, I can. I'm gonna send you a text later anyway and get a bunch of stuff from you after the fact, so I can do your playlist and stuff. But if there's any you could say on the actual thing, then I'll take those too.
Close to You.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Smashing Pumpkins is gonna be 1979.
Okay.
And
Let's see if you get my favorite. I have a favorite Smashing Pumpkins song. Let's see if it's one of yours.
Zero is
Nope.
Okay.
That's a good one. But
Zero would have. Gosh, favorite?
yeah. Or 2 or 3. I mean, this for you is 2 or 3 favorites, but I literally have a number 1 favorite Smashing Pumpkins song.
What's yours? I have
Disarm.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that one's good.
It gets me. It gets me emotionally.
Yeah.
Like this, the whole. I used to be a little boy part that he sings at the end. And
Yeah.
especially when it gets that building kind of choral sound. Right? I mean, again, I don't know what the terms are, but it just seems to. It just gets big and it just hits me in the feelers every time. So.
I'm pretty sure they did not play that song at the concert.
I would have demanded a refund. It's like, hey man, I paid money. You didn't play my favorite song.
Tonight is a really
That's a good one.
song.
Yep, that's a good one. Do you have a favorite album?
No.
No, by them?
No.
Okay.
Not a favorite.
Okay.
I don't think I could pick that.
Because most people would say Melancholy. Just because it's a double album and it's got, Bullet with Butterfly Wings and it's got some of their, but then Siamese Dream's really good too.
Siamese Dream.
Yeah.
I think that one, that one would probably, if I had to pick,
right.
it'd be Siamese Dream.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Suicide Boys. You know any of the names of their songs?
Well, Paris is probably one of their most well-known songs,
Okay.
and it's great.
Okay. Paris like the city?
Yeah.
Okay.
They do a lot of songs with other artists. So some of their songs are actually like, it would be like a Ghostmane song, but they're on it.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to give you like.
Okay, so like a super group kind of thing.
Yeah, text me. I can text you these song names later. Cause let me go back and look at them.
Yeah, because what I do is when I go through and I re-listen to the whole episode, because I have to say, okay, I'm going to cut out that break, I'm going to cut out that thing or whatever, and I do all that stuff, which I do that at work, by the way. But just while I'm working. Remember I said I can do lots of stuff while I'm working?
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, make a note, and then I can do all that. But I'll also keep track of every band that we mention. And then if we ever mention any specific songs, I'll put those on there too. And that's the start of the playlist. But then I'll send you a text or an email or something saying, hey, can you fill in these gaps for me? Here's 15 bands, and can you give me 2 or 3 favorite songs of each of these? And then you have time to look at it, listen to it, research it. And it's never like, oh, I need this in an hour. It's always like, hey, you have a month,
For you, but if you ask me the actual name of the song.
Okay. But this is a rap group you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, but they have some like chorus singing and stuff too as well.
Well, That's the thing about that when you say like what genre are they, they're listed under hip hop rap, but it doesn't always sound like it.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You'll have to.
They're genre bending.
I think
right?
so.
That's what they would say. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't put us in a box.
No. I mean, I guess they kind of rap. That's their style of singing, but it doesn't fit.
Okay.
100%. I don't think.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I would want to do if I was a musician.
Right.
I wouldn't want people to say, "Oh, he's just like this," or "He's just like that."
Like when you hear a song, you're like, "Oh, that's definitely rap."
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I don't feel like it sounds
very
like
cool.
that.
All right, and lastly, the infamous Britney Spears.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Toxic.
Okay. That's kind of an older one, yeah. Is that the one where she had the snakes all around her neck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh gosh. We'll hit Baby One More Time.
You got to do that one. That was her first big single, wasn't it?
With the schoolgirl.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They weren't trying to sexualize her early.
No, not
at all. No.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That could be a whole other subject.
Well, it probably will be.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty big one. So.
There's so many great Britney songs.
Yeah.
If You Seek Amy is always a good one.
I don't think I've heard that one. If You Seek Amy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed that song.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I can give you more of that.
And I'm not real familiar with, all I know is some of her singles that came out back in the early days. Was that early 2000s? She came out late 90s, early 2000s?
I think it was late 90s.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. I remember.
Definitely early 2000s.
Yeah. I remember the Hit Me Baby One More Time. I remember Oops, I Did It Again.
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
then I think that was pretty much it. And then I know she had a few after that. And then I saw some of her performances. Like I remember watching the one where she and Madonna were making out or whatever. I remember seeing that. Yeah. And then after that, she kind of went off the deep end, at least as far as what the media was presenting her as. And then she was conservatorship, and then now she's out of it, and now all this stuff's going on. Now she's dancing with knives, and
Oh my gosh. That was
yeah. So, but there's actually a song. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bebo Norman. He's actually a Christian singer, but he had a song called Britney, and it was all about
her.
But in a good way. It was like a kind of coming at the sense of, look what we did to you. Like we over sexualized you. I think there's a lyric something like we. What did it say? We promote the music, but destroyed the girl or something. I forgot exactly. It's a beautiful song, and I think because that song dealt with somebody who was famous, because he's not really famous. He's an underground Christian singer. Unless you're in the Christian circles, you don't know who that is. Yeah. But then a lot of people. That song became very popular because
I'll have to listen to
of
it
that. It's actually a really good song. I mean,
I have her book. I just haven't read it.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it come through the library. I even cataloged one of them, but
you can borrow that one too.
There you go. Look at this. we got a whole lending library happening here. So, that's and I feel bad for that, and I think it's most of Hollywood is that way. Unfortunately, that's why it scares me to death. Not that my daughter is a singer. My younger daughter. She's actually really good. She writes her own songs, and I think that's awesome. But then part of me goes, like, I don't know. Like, what if a record label like came and said, "Hey, we want to put out an album. We want you to tour about this." I'd be like, I'd be scared to death because what are you going to do to her? Like, what are you going to make her think is right? What are you going to?
They'll
exploit her, right? Exactly. And then and it's not that they all turn out that way, but it's pretty common for a lot of these teen pop stars to not seem to turn out very happy by the end of the whole ordeal, you know, so which is sad, because they're very talented. They,
too much to handle.
That's such a young age. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So,
I also have the Motley Crue book, if you want.
Oh, okay. You're a Motley Crue fan?
No, not really, but
okay.
I really love like music and musicians.
I do too.
Band biographies like that. So
I'm a Wikipedia stalker kind of guy. I'll go on there and learn everything I can.
Didn't like a movie came out about them?
About Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It did, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I never saw it. I was never a huge Motley Crue fan. I mean, I think I had the Dr. Feelgood album back in the day. That was a good one.
I wasn't that into hair bands.
Yeah, I wasn't
like
either. It was kind of past our time, really.
It was.
I mean, we were like mid-elementary school when that was happening. So, but like your brother would probably into it because he was 5 years older than you.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm. He was more into like Talking Heads. And, like those kind of
like the good 80s bands. Yeah.
He would agree with you.
That's where the Cure would come in, and the Smiths, and like the stuff you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Very cool. One last thing, and this is probably going to lead into the political section in a sense. But I always ask this of anybody, especially that grew up with the early hip hop music and stuff. Especially as a grown woman, somebody who obviously, has certain thoughts and feelings as a woman.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on even today, like the hip hop, some of the? Because to me, I'll just say it this way. To me, it seems like that is the one area that for some reason seems to get a pass on the way they treat women in their songs, the things they're singing about, calling them every horrible name in the book.
Right.
And nobody seems to care. They're not their CDs aren't getting banned. They're not played on the radio stations.
Right.
Like nobody seems to care. And I've noticed even some of these very strong feminists who are out on the front lines, picketing, all this kind of stuff, they're still bumping some, hip hop song on the way to the rally. And I'm like, it just seems like a disconnect to me. It's like, how can you be okay with this, but hating this at the same time, Yeah.
No,
so,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I feel like when we were growing up, the culture of that music, I mean, for me, I was already disconnected because that wasn't my life.
Right.
I wasn't living that. I wasn't.
Yeah. You weren't a pimp in Oakland.
Right. I wasn't on the streets. I wasn't selling drugs.
Right.
And you think about it and it's like, why didn't that influence us back then? Right. I mean, maybe it did for some people.
Hey, I wanted to be a pimp.
Genuinely?
Yeah, I did.
Or was it like...
I really did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, of course, I didn't understand all the ins and outs of it. Like, I didn't know. All I knew was like, oh, it just got girls all over you, and you can just be a rapper, and you can hang out and have all this money and all this whatever. Like, he, Too Short kind of glorified that for me, even though I didn't really understand it.
Maybe because I got a different side of it.
Okay.
With my police officer father.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Okay.
Why, but I never took it seriously.
Okay.
It wasn't like, oh yeah, like
you think it's all for show.
That's the life. Let's do it.
Right. But like, do you think those rappers are really that way in real life? Like, do you think they really treat women that way, or that they're nothing but sex objects and they just treat them like, this is all you're good for. Once I'm done with you, get out the door, or whatever some of the rap songs will say.
Because I feel like it could go two ways. Either they are, and they know that the music, it's like you said, they can get a pass.
Right.
And it's okay. Or they're just saying that because it sells records.
Yeah.
And people
seem
to like it.
Yeah. And that's the part that's fascinating to me, because I think of a band like let's say a metal band, or even just a hard rock band, not even like a heavy band. Just let's say Nickelback. Let's bring in everybody hates Nickelback. Let's bring Nickelback.
I don't hate
Nickelback. I don't either. But they're always the band. Everybody says, if you like Nickelback, you're lame. It's like, I love Nickelback. But let's say Nickelback came out with a song where it was all about beating up women, using them for sex, and kicking them out the door or whatever.
Yeah.
I promise you, that album would get pulled from the shelves. The video would not be allowed on MTV. There would be all this talk about it. You see it all over the media, right? Yet just about every hip-hop song is exactly that, and nothing happens. That's what I find fascinating.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So
I won't disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like now... well, even with some of the female artists now, I don't know if you've heard some of the newer artists.
Like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and some of that. Yeah.
I don't know. It was like
Yeah.
There's
Megan Thee Stallion.
Even some of their songs are tame to what I've heard.
Okay.
Besides that,
do you think that's for shock value?
I'm not sure. I think now, because it's been so accepted by men, now it feels almost like women are taking on that as like an empowerment.
Yes.
Like, fine, if men can sing about it, if men can sing about my ass and my...
Right.
like, I'm going to sing about my own.
Yeah.
And my own sexuality, my own body, whatever.
Right.
And so...
No, you're absolutely right.
Instead of it being tailored back where we're not speaking about women like that, it's become acceptable for everybody.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good thing?
That's hard.
Okay.
The woman in me says, supporting other women who want to do whatever they want with their body and their sexuality. Great.
Right.
That's their choice.
Right. But like, make it personal. Like, I know you don't have any, like, you don't have biological daughters, right? You have...
I don't.
Maybe you have stepdaughters that you love and care about.
I have stepdaughters I love and care about.
So,
a niece.
Would you have the same standard for them? Like, if they turn 18 and they were like, look, I'm just going to go sleep with everybody and I'm going to have this lifestyle, would you be like, hey, I support you, more power to you, you should be able to do whatever you want with your body, and I'm glad you're doing that. It makes me happy.
Sure.
Really? Okay.
Safely.
Right.
And, I mean, obviously... You would also wonder how they would deal with that emotionally, because
sure,
anybody, well, in my opinion, anybody that says that they can go around and sleep with whoever they want and it doesn't affect them that way is lying.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I mean. So you talk about like harm,
right?
And obviously you said as long as it's safely, and I know there's things like STDs or saying like all of that. Of course, that's a problem.
STDs, pregnancy,
but then there's also emotional damage, right? And I mean, there's studies that have shown that this whole like, well, it's the same as the '60s. They had the whole free sex movement or whatever, or free love they call it. That's what it's free love. You just love whoever you want and have sex with everybody.
Yeah,
that wasn't good, I don't think, for the emotional psyche of a lot of people.
Probably not.
It might have been good for the physical gratification,
people
but
want that and they want that freedom, but
right.
You're human and your emotions always come into play. I don't really care what people say.
Right.
So if my daughters, I felt, well, even if I didn't feel, I would still want to be supportive. I just wouldn't take the stance of like, no, don't do that. It's horrible. Okay. You don't know what you're doing, especially the you don't know what you're doing part, or like you don't know.
Right.
You don't know better than I do.
Because you feel like you'd be imposing on their own personal beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I would do something to, like, hey, are you sure you're being protected? Or, have you thought about, what that will feel like for you after? How to not get your emotions involved, or are you doing it from a place where you have very low self-esteem and you're not keeping high standards, or are you doing it because you have high standards and you're enjoying yourself? I don't.
Well, because there's so many factors that goes into each person's own scenario, of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing, right? And obviously, the people that are closest to us, we know them well. We can almost sometimes even maybe, I'm with you, I can't say, oh, I know exactly what you're feeling. I know exactly, because I don't.
Right.
But you can still kind of be like, I kind of have a feeling why you feel that way or why you're doing what you're doing. Because I've known you your whole life.
Yeah.
I know your proclivities. I know that your emotional damage in certain areas and all that kind of stuff. So that's, I guess the only reason I asked that about your making it personal is because that's kind of the way I look at things for myself. Because it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, you just go live your own life. I mean, I support your right to live however you want to live.
Yeah.
But it's easy for me to say that about some random stranger I don't know. It's harder for me to say that about somebody that I personally know and love and care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Because I could say the same thing about doing drugs, or being like, somebody might say, somebody say, oh, should we get all the drug addicts off the street and force them to be clean? No. I think they have the
wouldn't work anyway.
Right. It wouldn't work. But I feel like if that's what they want to do, they have the right to do so. But now you put my son or my daughter in that scenario. Right now it's harder because now it's like, no, I don't want to watch them destroy their lives by becoming heroin addicts or fentanyl or whatever.
Interestingly, I feel differently about that issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when I see a person that is clearly suffering from drug addiction, I want to say, like,
you'd want to help them.
I'd want to help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to help them. I'm just saying it would be easier for me to say live your life to them than it would my own kid. Yeah. If I had a way to help anybody, I mean, working at the library, we see this all the time, right? So I mean, it's sad. I mean, we've had grown men come in there just sobbing, and it's like, dude, I want to help you somehow. I just don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's sad. And I was thinking to myself, that guy is somebody's son. Maybe even somebody's dad. Maybe I mean, who knows? I don't know his life story. And it's just, there's a part of me that goes, I want to sit down, I want to take you to lunch, I want to talk to you, I want to hear your story. But then the other part of me goes, ooh, but what are you going to do to me? There's kind of this fear that comes in, but like, I don't know you, and you're obviously on drugs. Like, drugs make people do crazy things, So it's this kind of balance for me. Yeah. It's like, but I do. My heart goes out to everybody like that, Yeah. But, yeah.
The thing about the lyrics, I think an easier way for me to view it is if I heard somebody singing something like that. When they're singing, I just, I don't really picture a particular female. Okay. But if it was to be like my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Then it would be like, okay, wait a minute.
You mean like if your daughter became a singer and started singing songs like that?
Like when you're talking about the way that women are talked about in music.
Yes.
And that particular genre. I can sit there and enjoy the song and I know what the lyrics are. And right. I'm just listening to the music. Right. And I know they're talking about somebody. Yeah. But it's nobody I know.
Right.
But if it was to be
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Myself or,
okay.
Another
like if they name dropped you or name dropped your daughter.
Or if you just think of it in the sense that like, maybe they saw my daughter on the street. Right. And now they're talking about her like that. Like, right. No.
Well, it's like with the Eminem, right? Where he had all these, he'd name drop a bunch of people, he'd say all this stuff about all these people. And I forgot who the rapper was now, but some rapper mentioned his daughter's name in the song in a derogatory way. And Eminem went after him, right? Because like now it's personal.
Now it's
like,
personal.
Okay, yeah, I've said some of the most horrible things on tape before, but you drew the line. And that's what's always fascinating to me. There's always a line, right? Like you could have a this is an example I always use, but you could have like a serial killer or something, or let's say you go to a maximum security prison where you got all these people that are serial killers, they're all these different things, right? As soon as a child molester goes in there, they kill him.
Yeah.
Because even those guys have moral standards. Right. They're like, yeah, sure, I've killed 30 people, but what you did, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
And you have to pay. Right? It's just like, there's always a line somewhere,
Yeah, that's so true.
So it's fascinating to me, but yeah.
Now that I'm looking at my CDs, I was like, I forgot to mention Hole.
Oh, good one.
God, I love Hole.
Yes. They're, what was the album? The one with Miss World on it. No, the one before that. That's the one I liked the most. Celebrity Skin was good too, but the heck, I can picture it. It's got
it's got the Queen on it.
Yeah. What was the name of that song? Or that album?
Ooh. It had
look
it up.
Live Through This was the song. I don't know if that was the name of the album.
I don't know.
I gotta know. I'm finding out right now.
And Fiona Apple.
Oh, good one. Another good one. Yep.
See, I like so much, and I'm always jumping around.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of these sometimes.
Which is totally awesome. That is called Live Through This.
Live Through This.
Yep.
With
that
the
was
crying
my favorite one. Yeah. Yeah, with Violet, Miss World, asking for it. Yep. Credit in the Straight World. That was a good one.
So good.
Yeah. So cool. All right.
Well,
let's jump in with both feet now, I guess, huh?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
You might be surprised.
Yes, that's all right. I like surprise. So we can go one of two ways with it, or we can go both ways with it. There's politics like government, presidents, governors, mayors, laws, all that kind of stuff, which is another separate thing. And then we can go and say, well, let's talk about world issues and how that relates, or we can do both. But I usually just like, do you consider yourself to be political? Do you Do you follow politics at all? Do you?
I would say from the time I remember, like, growing up, I guess you could fit me into the liberal side of things.
Okay.
But
we grew up in Berkeley, right?
I grew up in the Bay Area. So it was just like a given, I guess.
Right. Not a whole lot of conservatives coming out of that area, so.
But I feel like a lot of people do think I'm very, very liberal. I bet whoever told you to interview me, I'm very good at finding things out. Well, homework gonna happen here. I'm like, who am I friends with on Facebook? Yeah. Also friends with him. Okay.
I checked. We do have like 25 mutual friends on Facebook, so.
So yeah, I feel like a few things you could definitely consider me left leaning.
Okay.
But I also grew up in a police family.
Okay.
So things like guns. Like I'm a liberal.
Okay.
Who, is okay with guns.
Okay.
Maybe not as like everyone should own a gun and just let anyone have one. But
as far as the government saying we're going to take all the guns, you're not for that?
No.
Okay.
And I really don't think that is the correct perception anyway for a lot of liberals is like, we're not saying take everyone's guns.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Right. I know that.
Okay.
In fact, the way I always phrase it is this. We have things like school shootings that happen. I don't care if you're right-leaning or left-leaning. We all look at that and we go, oh my gosh, that's horrible. That should never happen. This is the saddest thing ever. It's terrible.
Right.
But then when you start talking about solutions to that problem, that's when you see the right and the left kind of split ways.
Yes.
So but obviously the right might paint the left out as they just want to remove every gun from the whole, it's like, no, maybe some far left people are like that, but most of them are not,
Right.
And the same token, they say, somebody on the left might say, oh, people on the right, they just want everybody to have guns all over the place and they just want this to
carry
be.
them around.
Yeah.
Strapped head to toe.
Right, exactly.
Whatever they want. Yeah.
And I think most of us don't really fall on either one of those two extremes.
Okay, good.
So,
Yeah. I feel like that's how I'm definitely not far left.
Okay.
And like I said, I feel like I'm left leaning on just a few particular things. And I think they're the biggest issues for a lot of people, so that's why.
Okay. Yeah.
But I already know you're going to talk about certain things like Donald Trump, right?
Well, because you seem like a big Trump fan. Like, you sat down and I thought, you've got to be a big Trump fan.
I forgot my MAGA hat today, but, I didn't want to mess up my hair.
Oh, man.
So.
That would have been awesome. I mean, not really awesome, but that would have been ironically awesome. Because I'm assuming you're not a big Trump fan.
I'm not a big Trump fan.
Yeah.
But I'm also not a huge Biden fan.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
I really did like Barack Obama.
Okay.
I liked his whole family.
Yeah.
Some of the things that family went through really disturbed me. But
okay.
I don't listen to news and politics all day long.
Okay. Sometimes though.
I do try and catch a podcast here and there. Like I listen to NPR.
Okay.
And like BBC to kind of give me like a quick rundown in the morning. Like when I'm getting ready for work in the morning, I'll throw on a podcast or two and just hear what's up in the world.
Okay.
And I'm not diving deep.
Right.
I'm not immersing myself day to day. It's just too much.
Right.
And
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, probably more so than ever before, I would think.
I can't keep up with it all, nor do I really want to.
Okay. Does it make you angry? Like, do you ever hear things when you listen to that stuff and you're like, oh, are you kidding me?
It makes me, well, some things in particular, yes. Like during the Trump administration, I was getting upset about things here and there. Yes, of course.
But you weren't like out screaming on the street, were you, like some of the videos you saw?
No.
Okay.
No. Some of the things I did participate in, though, and it was like, I think it was at City Hall, was
like a women's march or something?
Abortion.
Okay.
Pro-choice.
Okay.
And then the George Floyd.
Okay.
So
good ones.
Which, that's a hard topic for me considering my background and my family.
Yeah. Well, but see, that's true. I'm sure that's totally true, but that also makes you a really good person to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
Because you're on the inside of both
I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, I do consider myself a liberal, but I hate labeling like that.
Right.
Because,
right.
I also am not a huge fan of our governor.
Gavin Newsom?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Well, I mean...
Yeah.
This is a little judgy, but he's very slimy to me.
Yeah.
I don't like his hair.
Totally, right? Yes. No, seriously. If you look up sleazeball in the dictionary, I think it's a picture of Gavin Newsom.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't help himself with the whole, hey, guys, don't go anywhere and don't do anything. And then he was at that restaurant in Napa, I think it was.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
I was like, come on. Yeah. Really?
Not good for the optics.
Nobody's going to take you seriously anymore.
Right. And that was a big blow to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Right.
It's like parenting.
Right. But I think for us in my family, we lean pretty right. By the way, you probably already know that. I do especially. Even me and my wife don't see eye to eye on everything, but I would say we're probably both pretty right leaning when it comes to certain issues. Mm-hmm. But I know, when COVID first started, none of us knew anything. We didn't know really what was happening. No. All we have is what the news is telling us, and that was kind of scary at first.
Yes.
It's oh my gosh, you walk outside, you're going to die.
Right.
Unless you have 14 masks across your face and you have a plastic bag on your head or whatever,
I need a hazmat.
Yeah, exactly. It was really scary at first, and I think anybody that says they weren't scared at all in the beginning is lying, because it was a scary time. We had never had anything in our lifetime like that happen. I mean, we had the swine flu and SARS and stuff, but that was over there.
Yeah.
It was never the whole country and all these restaurants are closing and all this stuff. So it's what is happening? Yeah. But I think when Gavin Newsom did what he did, that made a lot of us go, at least it made me think to myself, okay, he's not very scared of this thing.
Right.
So why should we be scared? Because he probably knows more about it than we do.
Right.
Because he's on the inside, right? He's got probably information that none of us have at this point. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, as time went on, things came out and we started to realize, okay, maybe this isn't as bad as they've been making it sound. I mean, it wasn't a good thing. I'm not trying to say, it's great, it's fantastic. But the idea that everybody's just dropping dead when they walk out their door was obviously not true, right?
And not only that, it was the bougiest restaurant you could. Yeah. It was French Laundry.
French Laundry, yeah. It was 30 of them. It was his whole family or something. His aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmas. It was this big old group.
Old grandmas. Old grandmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're let's rent out the banquet room.
I get it. That was a bad move.
Yeah.
Bad look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so he's obviously been teasing the possibility of running for president. So you wouldn't be a big fan of that?
Not him in particular, no.
Okay. But do you think would you rather have him on the Democratic ticket than Biden at this point?
Yeah, because I think Biden's honest. I mean, the guy's.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he'd even live through another term, right? I mean, I'm not wishing that on him, but
no, definitely not.
Yeah.
I will say, I would vote Democrat.
Okay.
Over. It would have to be. Well, I can't say that.
Okay.
The current selections, I would vote Democrat.
Okay.
If somebody came that blew my mind, then I would never say I wouldn't vote Republican.
That's good.
So
and I would never say I wouldn't vote Democrat.
Right.
To me, it matters who the person is, what they're saying they're going to do. That's all that matters to me. I don't care what side of the fence you are. I don't care.
That may seem superficial, but just watching a person talk and speak and just getting a feel for them as much as you can through TV and media.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it for me.
Right.
A lot of reasons why I don't like Trump
is
just him as a person.
Yeah. But that's what I don't like about him either. And I think people on the right will say the same thing. Yeah. We don't like him either.
Yeah.
As a person.
Right.
But I think for me and a lot of other people on the right, we look more, we can look away from personality more and look more at policy, look more at what's going to happen, like as far as how it's going to affect my life. Because whether the guy is a jerk or not doesn't really affect my life. Like, I'm not hanging out with him. We're not going out out to dinner with him and his family and my family. It's just never going to happen. Yeah. What is going to affect me is the laws that are going to go into place, or the restrictions that are going to happen, and that kind of thing. That is going to affect me in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? So
I feel that even how he views people and how he's spoken about people, that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, politicians, I don't feel are relatable to us.
No, you don't think so?
I don't care what party they're from.
Right.
You know, to find somebody that really understands my life and my middle class, you know, existence. Yeah. That's not them. So
I had somebody on here a couple ones ago. It hasn't been released yet, but I recorded one a couple weeks ago, where this guy said something that's so simple and makes sense and just blew my mind. He goes, because I asked him the question. I said, it looks like if the polls right now are what they are when it comes time for voting, we're going to have another Trump and Biden showdown. Okay, I know, right? And I asked him, I said, well, how do you feel about that? And he said, that just really bums me out. And he goes, you know, you can go online and you can watch TED Talks. You can read books. You can watch documentaries about people. There are some brilliant, genius, awesome people in our country. Why do we keep getting stuck with doddering old fools as our two choices to run the country, right? And I thought...
Good point.
Right? It's so true. Like, why does that keep happening? Well, because it has all on the inside. Yeah. Oh, it's government this, government that. Or we're going to put this guy in there. We're going to put this guy in there. Like, what if they just went straight to the people and we all were like, hey, let's all just look on TED Talks, find a guy who's awesome, and let's just all put his name on the ballot. As an absentee, or whatever they call an absentee, whatever there's that spot, you can just write in somebody's name. Yeah. And what if you got 90% of the country to do that, and then we vote in this like 40-year-old who's not ancient, who's brilliant and has wonderful ideas about how to help our country, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just...
And it's a little bit more in the middle.
Yes, sure. Yes, exactly, which is almost something that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't.
Because back in the 70s, 80s, even in the 90s, right and left wasn't that far off. Like, they definitely had some major differences, but now, like, there's like no agreement, right? It's like, and it's to the point where like, oh, you're like this, I hate you. Oh, you're this, I hate you. It's like, wow.
And I feel like I was like that at a point. You know, anybody that voted for Trump, like, what's wrong with you? Right. I clearly have nothing in common with you. Yeah. We're not friends. But then I was like, wait, I do actually have some friends that voted for Trump, and I know people, and I think I've evolved since then.
Do you think any of them have, I don't know if they've ever given you the reasons for doing that? Do any of their reasons like add up for you, or you're like, oh, I still don't understand how you could do that?
No, I still don't understand, but it's okay. So
yeah. You can still be friends with them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the friendship was there before.
Okay.
You know, any of that. So
that's good.
I'm not willing to give up a friend for that.
Well, that's good.
Maybe at one time I was, but no, that's just a very narrow way of thinking.
Yes.
And I think it was a lot of emotion at that time. And I just realized, you know what, Trump or no Trump, people are still going to feel that way. I mean, he's just like the figurehead.
Sure.
And it did expose a lot of, I think people had the opportunity to really voice how they feel, because they were like, hey, this guy's saying everything that we've wanted to say for so long. So yeah, like, you get to know people's opinions more, and that's why it feels so separate now, and it feels so like everybody's arguing about everything.
I think one of the biggest things that was appealing, and I'm not saying for me because I didn't vote for Trump, but because I don't usually vote.
Okay.
But I think one of the appealing things about Trump was that people were tired of the government stuff. They were tired of this guy who's been in politics for 40 years and he's, we'll just put him up here. Let's put this guy.
Yeah.
And they thought to themselves, oh, this guy can't be bought. He's not in the government. I mean, he can be bought. Everybody can be bought.
Yeah.
But like, he's got his own money as it is, right? Like he's a millionaire, billionaire, whatever he was at the time. And it's like, well, maybe this is something different. This is something we've never done before. But I mean, it would have been the same as back when they had the California governor run, right? And there was like porn stars running and like there was all these different people running, right? And it's like, yeah, well, this is even after that, but it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's a good example too. People said, okay, this guy's a famous actor. When have we done that before?
That's just an indication that people are tired of what's been going on.
Exactly. Right. And it's like, well, maybe this guy will be different.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's also some of the push, like when you say, well, what if we elect a female president? We've never done that before.
Right.
What's going to change? What's going to be different? Maybe that'll be something new and fresh, you know, which I'm not opposed to, by the way, at all. I mean, I think that's,
good.
A lot of I'm not a Hillary fan, but it's not because she's a woman. It's just because I don't like some of the things she has to say, you know. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people aren't. And that's what's funny to me. We have all these people in the country, and here's all these people. Here's all your choices. And we're all like, most of us don't like any of those people.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening, you know? It's a bummer.
Right.
Ugh.
It's really difficult because, you know, I did put time and effort in. I put the time and effort in that first go-round.
2016?
And I put a lot of emotion into it, and I was like, you know, my mom told me, she's like, she does not like Donald Trump. She's like, I'm going to watch every one of his speeches because I want to hear it come straight from his mouth. And I was like, good for you, Mom. And then she'd call me and she'd be angry and she'd be upset. And
why did I watch that?
But, you know, like her stance on that was like, well, at least it's not skewed. It's not like somebody saying he said something he didn't. She's like, no, I heard it straight from his mouth.
That's true.
And this is what he said.
And in its entirety.
Instead
of somebody taking a little soundbite and saying, look what he said.
A little this or that,
Right.
And so, you know, I tried that same thing. I did the best I could. And, and then I had a lot of hope for Kamala and Joe. And,
oh, really?
And I'm just like, oh,
and
okay, what's next?
So let me tell me about that then. Like what kind of hopes did you have, first of all, and then what things have they disappointed you in? Like what are they not doing that you would have hoped?
I think the biggest hope I had was that they were going to bring our country back together. Unify.
Okay.
And I just see not a lot of movement on that. I mean, I feel like it's still... And you would think that I would want that because of some of my some of my beliefs. But I also know that like these very extreme thoughts on the different issues, that's just going to keep us farther and farther apart.
Sure.
You know, like there needs to be a little compromise, I guess. And I haven't seen much of that.
Okay. And you think that's specifically because of them, though, or
no? You know what? Like, I don't really have anything I can say. I can be specific about because I just don't hear much. Yeah. Like that's been done, or it's you know that's happening. So, I don't know. I mean, I was all like excited, and then it just kind of fizzled out.
Well, a lot of that was...
I'm going to just live my life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's hope for the best, and let's look forward to the next election, and maybe stop being so divided on things. Right.
But now, like I said, we're at the point where looks like it's going to be one of those two guys again.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing.
Yes.
Are there anybody? Obviously, Biden's going to be in because he's already the sitting president. He's automatically in as the ticket unless they pull some weird stuff. Which, to be honest with you, I'll say this on here right now. Because that way, if I'm right, I sound like I'm cool. I think there's something there with Newsom. I'm thinking there's going to be some weird thing at the very last minute where Biden's going to be out and they're going to throw Newsom in there as the Democratic running mate. And I only say that because, first of all, he hasn't ever officially said he wants to run, but he challenged Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who's running for president, right, to a debate.
Why?
Why would you challenge him to a debate if you're not even running for president? Right? Or are you running for president? And do you know that DeSantis is the next one lower than Trump as far as the polls go? Like DeSantis, he's way below Trump.
Yeah.
But he's the highest up other than Trump as far as the polls show. So anyway, I just wanted to say that out there. But do you see anybody on the Republican side that's running that you would take over Biden? Like Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, who was that, Chris Christie, and Vivek Ramaswamy? Any of those? Or are you just like, no, I still vote Biden over them any day?
I will be honest and say I don't know much. Chris Christie would be a no for me.
Yeah, me too. He's my least favorite of all of them.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that guy's terrible.
Okay. Yeah. When it comes down to it, when it's time, then I will probably put effort in. But no, I mean, I feel like I probably still would vote for
Biden.
For Biden.
Okay. But do you hope somewhere deep in your mind that they come up with somebody better before then?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's almost like if I have to, I will.
Okay.
It's not.
Right.
I'm not racing to go check that box. I guess. I'm gonna vote Democrat, but give me somebody different and amazing. Sure.
Yeah.
Even on the Republican side,
right?
You know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, if they get somebody that Democratic that's says more of the things I like than Trump, I'll vote Democrat. Yeah. If I vote.
If you decide to vote.
If I decide to vote. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Well, I mean, voting here, it's like...
Right.
We're in California, so...
Right. Yep.
If Gavin Newsom runs against Trump, that will have me worried.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then you got two...
Well, the whole country hates California, so...
Right. It's true.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So, there's two strikes against us, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
Cool. No, that's good. That's exactly what I was hoping to talk about. So, why don't we go into the vegetarian vegan thing next? Let's kind of talk about that, because I had, like I told you, I went that route. I was about 15 when I decided, to stop eating meat, and I was an activist. I was like, I was the kind of guy that if you ate meat, you were Satan, as far as I was concerned, and I would tell you so.
I went through that phase.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, and that was right in the middle of my punk rock stuff. So, like I said, I'm listening to Propagandhi, I'm listening to Good Riddance, I'm listening to some of these other bands that are very political, right? They're taking a stance, and I always loved animals, and I was like, who am I to think, just because a cheeseburger tastes good, I think the animal should die, Right. And back then I would always kind of the animal life and human life on the same level. And I know a lot of people, I no longer hold that view. I still love animals. I don't, I don't think any, well, that's, I say I don't think any harm should come to animals, but I do eat meat.
But you eat meat, yeah.
Yes. But, so anyway, tell me your journey on that.
So my journey, my introduction to that was in college.
Okay.
I met a group of friends, and they were all vegan. And so I started learning about it, and I got the full introduction. Let's watch factory farming videos.
Oh, boy. That'll make anybody become a vegetarian.
God. Let's watch how they make a fur coat, just horrible things. And so that was it for me. I was like, okay, I could see why this is a thing.
Yeah.
And so I was vegan for a long time, and we did a fur protest up in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
We would protest SeaWorld, which I have eaten meat on and off, but there are things that I would never do, and animals in captivity.
Okay. So you wouldn't go to a zoo?
I've been to zoos, accredited zoos, some sideshow zoo. No.
So when you say accredited, it means ones that you've done the research on, and you're like, okay, they treat the animals well.
Ones that they're not taking animals out of the wild to put them in shows or anything. They're rehabilitating. They're they're releasing because, you know, they're
like reserves, like where they have like wildlife reserves kind of things,
or they're also part of like, what do you call that, like any endangered species when they're repopulating, things like that.
Yeah,
so,
like the California condors, that whole thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
which those are ugly. I don't know why they did that.
Okay,
it's got to be one of the ugliest animals ever made. Anyway.
But like SeaWorld, I've never been to SeaWorld except I think when my parents took me when I was really young.
Okay.
You know, I don't have any fur coats. I can't afford it, and I I wouldn't want to wear that.
How about leather shoes? That's the one they always used to hit me with when I was a vegetarian.
Oh, you know what? I actually do wear leather.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these guys would always hit me. Are you vegetarian? Yeah. What's up with your shoes?
Yeah. When I was vegan, that's not part of being vegan. So no.
Oh, it's not?
No, you can't wear leather.
Oh, that's what I mean. Nothing that comes from an animal. No honey.
No honey.
Because it comes from bees.
No animal byproduct. I got really good at reading labels and learning all of the animal ingredients back then.
No shampoos that were
Yeah. Okay. And but I still kind of hold some of that because why not? You know, like why use a beauty product which just is superficial and vain to begin with.
Right.
Why use a beauty product that's also tested on animals and has animal ingredients? There's so many options now where you don't need to choose that.
Right.
Why not?
Except they're like 4 times the price. What is the deal?
Well, then just don't be a consumer.
Yeah,
like, you know, stick with one. But
well, it's like the vegetarian products. Like my wife will get a lot of that. And I like a lot of those because, like I said, 15 years I ate all that, like the Boca burgers and the corn chicken and all that kind of stuff.
Corn, oh my gosh, I love
the QUORN.
Yeah, the best.
Isn't it good?
It's so good.
And when we first got those, we thought that was great because the texture was right.
It was perfect.
Because all the other chicken
nuggets,
stuff, it would just like fall apart. But the corn was like, this tastes like real chicken, and the texture was like real chicken.
Yeah.
But like you see all that, and it's expensive.
It's expensive.
It's gotten cheaper now that there's more of a, especially in California, there's more vegetarians.
Oh
more
yeah,
vegans.
don't travel anywhere and expect that.
Right, exactly. You go to like Wyoming and you're like, do you have anything vegetarian on the menu? They're like, you know, we're gonna run this guy out of town, you know, or whatever. You know, you're not from around these here parts, are you, buddy? Okay, so you've kind of just gone back and forth. So what brings you back is what I'm interested in. Like, why would you say, you know what, today I'm going to have a cheeseburger, and then the next day, like, no, never mind.
So the reason I started eating meat recently was for health reasons.
Okay.
So I needed to lose a lot of weight, and I needed a very high protein diet.
Okay.
And it was, for me, eating vegetarian but also having low carb is super hard.
Oh, totally.
So
no cheese pizza for you.
No, like it was like you need to hit like 40 to 50 grams of protein each time you eat, and you know, minimal carbs. And I'm like, okay, I have this great plant-based protein source, but it's also like chock full of carbs, you know. So that was my decision. You know, my doctor just basically was like, hey, like, get serious about this.
Right.
You know, you're going to be pre-diabetic. You're going to have high blood pressure. You need to drop, like, weight. So I did.
Okay.
And all I can say about that is I try to choose my sources of protein the best I can. Okay. You know, like free range, pasture raised chicken. It's organic. I mean, I'm paying more. Okay. And I'm doing my best, but the source does matter just for me. You know, it doesn't. Sure. That's just my choice.
Do you ever get people that will? And I used to get this all the time. And people would say something like, you'd say something like that, and you'd say, well, what? So you want the chicken to be well taken care of before you chop its head off and eat it? I mean, like,
hey, why not?
We want them to be happy up until the moment we rip their heads off and pluck their feathers and eat them. Right. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the organic part is more for my benefit. Okay. The pumping of the hormone. It was really funny because we were on vacation and with my family, and somebody had bought a Costco chicken, and man, that thing was like, it didn't even look like a chicken. It was just so hefty, you know.
It was like a turkey.
It was like, that's because, you know, they pump them full of hormones.
Right.
They do all these things to them. So those kind of choices, like at this point, I'm just doing the best I can there.
Right.
I won't eat things like veal. Absolutely not.
That's baby
cow. I don't eat cow a lot as it is, so it's just not a taste that I've liked. I do like a hamburger, but like steak and stuff. Ugh.
Really?
No.
Tri-tip?
No.
You don't like it, or you just don't eat it?
I do not like it. I don't know. Tri-tip was introduced to me when I came here in Santa Maria, and it was like, oh, like this is the thing. Like everyone loves this.
Right.
And I tried it, and I was like, no, thanks. No, I didn't like it at all. So I'm not into steak. I'm not into that.
But cheeseburgers.
I'll eat chicken. Well, I do like a cheeseburger. The Swiss has great cheeseburgers. Chicken, turkey, fish. That's pretty much what I stick with.
Okay. What's your favorite out of those three?
Most versatile, chicken.
Okay.
Favorite fish. Turkey's just turkey.
Yeah.
I'll eat it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of protein.
Turkey.
I don't love turkey, but it'll do. So. But for me, if I put a lot of thought into it, there's been times I've been eating and I just really want to switch back over, because for me, it's the thought of, I'm really, especially this past year, it's like I'm 45. I have one life. I'm trying to live it as best I can at this point and get everything fit in before, because you only get one life.
Yeah. And
I apply that to all living things. Like if I think of it that way, like this chicken that I'm eating, that animal only had one chance here too.
Right. Do you put them on the same level though? Like, do you think that human life and animal life is the same?
I guess it depends on, because sometimes you see an animal, well, like take a dog for instance. That dog is like full of emotion, full of feeling. You're like the center of their world. That they have that consciousness about them. Yeah. And I think a lot of animals do.
Is that a cultural thing though? Because you go to some other countries and that's their cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they eat over there.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to India, cows are sacred, right? So.
No, that is cultural, but I think you can apply that to even the animals we consider as our food source. You know, like pigs.
Yeah, because they're smart.
Very.
I've had people tell me they'll eat every animal but pigs because pigs are smart.
And I don't. Oh God, who doesn't love bacon? But geez, like I try not to. I do. I have eaten bacon, but like it's a pig,
I'm the one weirdo in the whole world that actually prefers turkey bacon over regular
I love
bacon.
Turkey bacon.
Like I like it better than pork.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. Like if my bacon is not extra crispy, I don't want it.
Right.
So I would take turkey bacon.
And that's one thing in the vegetarian world they never really got right, was those vegetarian bacon strip things.
Yeah.
Those were never right.
Did you ever experience as a vegetarian too, where like people that weren't vegetarian and you would be eating something that was like supposed to be like meat, and they're like, why are you eating that? You don't even like meat. And I said, hey, I never said I didn't like meat. I love certain meat.
Yes.
It's a whole different reason.
Yeah, it's a moral reason.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I always got tired of that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I thought you didn't like meat. Like, no, you thought wrong.
Everybody's always got to say something, It's like, can you just leave me alone?
I like meat. Okay.
Yeah. Eggs was one I always got. People say, I did see, because I was never a vegan, but I'd be eating eggs and be like, I thought you were a vegetarian. I thought you don't eat meat. I said, dude, it's eggs.
It's an egg, yeah.
But that's a baby chicken. No, okay, let me explain science to you, okay? An egg needs to be fertilized in order for it to become a baby chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I eat eggs a lot too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's being vegan, I think, is really difficult to do that and stay healthy. Because you really have to watch your protein. You have to make sure you're getting enough beans or enough whatever. Because you're not doing cheese, right? You're not doing yogurt. You're not doing milk. You're not doing any of the major. But like to be vegetarian, you can still do it, right? Yeah, you can cheese pizza. There you go. You can have, or veggie pizza. You can just get in the protein from the cheese,
And they've never gotten vegetarian or vegan cheese correct.
Oh, no.
Vegan cheese correct at all.
No.
I mean, I don't care what product
It's a
comes
texture
out.
thing.
It
doesn't
terrible.
melt right.
No,
it
doesn't taste right.
Looks like plastic.
It's like they've made great alternatives to yogurt. They've made great alternatives to ice cream.
Yeah.
Like even like you said, chicken.
Yeah.
Some of those like.
We like the Beyond Burger now is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
You know, Bethany eats those all the time.
I do like that. I love making it like the ground.
Right.
The ground meat.
And the cool thing about living in California is you can go places like Red Robin and they have that. You know, you can order any burger on the menu and just say, can you substitute the Beyond Burger? It's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so very cool.
So.
A reason I ask about, so there was a study they did years ago, which I found fascinating, where they were, it wasn't really, I guess it wasn't a study, it was a guy asking questions. But the results were very interesting because he was asking people, he'd say, okay, here's the scenario. There's a swimming pool or a lake or whatever, and there's two people drowning, right? It's the one is your neighbor who you've never met. You don't know him. You know him because you see him. He comes out. Neighbor. You wave at him. You get in the mail. You maybe know his name, but you don't know him. You don't love him. You don't really care. You care about him, but it's not like I know him.
Right.
And the first scenario was, okay, you have your neighbor you don't really know, and you got your mom or your dad, or you got your son.
Okay.
You can only save one. Who are you going to save? Obviously, I'm going to save my son.
My son, yeah.
The hope is I can save both. But if I can't, and I can only save one, it's going to be my son. So sorry, neighbor, but it's my son.
Yeah.
But then they changed it up and they said, okay, now in this next scenario, same scenario, you got your neighbor who you don't really know, and your dog. You can only save one. And you assume your dog can't swim, because obviously if a dog's in the water, he's just going to swim to shore. But you assume they're both going to drown, you can only save one. And the vast majority of people said their dog. That's crazy to me. I can't understand that. I love my dog, but I will put a human life that I don't even know above an animal life any day of the week. Any day of the week. Like I wouldn't even have to think about it. It could even be a guy I don't like. Like, let's say I do know him and he's a jerk, right? Let's say Donald Trump's drowning and my dog.
Oh, definitely the dog.
Yeah. That's probably what a lot of people say. Oh, I'd save the dog.
His hair will keep him.
Yeah.
Falafel on the top.
So
what would I do? Okay, so sitting here, not in that situation.
Yeah.
I would say my dog.
Okay.
But I know that I would jump into action and save a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, my answer was always I wouldn't do either because I can't swim. So I'd jump in there and we'd all drown. So that wouldn't help anybody. I don't know, maybe my dead body could help the guy stay afloat or something while he's trying to wait for help.
Question.
Yeah.
I'd grab the neighbor, make him back float, and then stick my dog on top of him.
Right.
Both.
Yeah, well, because I think everybody would take that scenario if that was an option. Is there any way I can save both? I'll take it.
Oh, my dog. She loves me so much.
Yeah. What kind of dog you have? You said it's a big one, right?
Yeah, she's half bloodhound and then a quarter German Shepherd, a quarter pit bull.
Oh, dang.
But she looks very hound. So she's got big floppy ears.
Yeah.
The big chunky neck rolls.
Has it got like a tank body or what?
She's got a pretty strong body. It looks more German Shepherd.
Okay.
And her colorings.
Okay.
Bloodhound.
And how long you had the dog?
Since she was 10 months and she's 9 now.
Oh, okay. Wow. So a member of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard for that question. You know, it's like, I love my dog.
Yeah.
It's like one of my kids. But if it was your kid or your dog, you're going for your kid, right?
Of course.
So even then, there's a distinction. So
yeah.
All right.
I just wanted to say something about vegetarian too.
Yes, please do.
I don't know if you came across this as well, but when people would ask me about being vegetarian, somehow hunting always came in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like sport hunting, obviously. Why? You know, I feel like that's horrible.
Right.
But like, I have major respect for people who hunt. You know,
for food.
For food.
Okay.
Yeah. If I had the heart to do it, and I could, and I had the skill, I would love to hunt and kill my own food.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the way to go, right?
I couldn't do it.
I don't think I could do it either.
I could do it if it was my family or that animal. Like if I was ever in a situation where I'm living out in the wilderness, it's like, all right, my family's going to starve to death if I don't go kill a deer.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to kill the deer.
But it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
You know,
it would be really hard for me to do.
But it would be hard for me too, but it's also like I took it upon myself and I experienced that death with the animal instead of just eating something that's been pumped out of a factory. Right? And I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Make me appreciate it a lot more.
Well, I've known people that will go through the drive-thru and order a double cheeseburger and just be like, and this is back in my vegetarian days where I try to tell them, you know what you're eating, right? Ryan, just shut up. I don't want to know what I'm eating, okay? I'm just, ignorance is bliss. This is not an animal. It was never an animal. It's just food, okay?
I feel like a lot of people have said that to me because I'm like, hey, just sit down and watch this video. And they're like, I don't want to know. I don't want to see it.
Right.
Because it does change your mind.
Totally.
It does make you think.
Totally.
For sure.
And especially in deals where you're not always if you're getting a biased opinion of anything, like whether it's a documentary or a media story or whatever, you're getting that organization's take on the whole thing. Like you brought up SeaWorld. There was that movie, it was a Blackfin or whatever. Blackfin? Yeah, that came out and then everybody boycotted SeaWorld. And I'm like...
I boycotted it way before.
Yeah. You were the reason they made the movie, So, but it's like, but I mean, I'm not going to take a stance on that whole thing because I really don't know anything about all of it.
The circus, too.
Yeah. Well, the circus doesn't have animals anymore. Yeah. You guys won.
I went to a couple protests against the circus, and I think I turned away like 2 people in all of those. And hey, that's a win. A win's a win.
Yeah. And we still like the circus, even though there's no animals.
It's great.
We like to go when they're Madonna in over there. They have the Circus Vargas.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. So. All right. Well, I'll give you the option here because you did bring up pro-choice.
Okay.
So we can go there as our last topic, or we can skip it and just pretend like it never happened.
Oh, no.
You want to talk pro-choice?
Sure.
All right. Let's hit it.
We haven't even talked about religion yet.
No.
Are we all done?
No. I'm talking the end of the politics section.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll go into spiritual stuff.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, don't skip over.
Yeah.
Spiritual.
So if you listen to episode 2 with Cindy, obviously, her and I had a long discussion about abortion and pro-life, pro-choice. So you obviously know my stance on it. So just kind of tell me why are you pro-choice?
Well, first of all, I'm pro-choice because I have had to make that choice.
Okay.
And when I say it wasn't an easy decision, that's just an understatement.
Right. Right.
I feel, gosh, I've heard so many people say that, women who have to make that choice, it's very easy for us and it's very nonchalant. And
I would say the opposite.
Okay. That's
all the women I've ever talked to that have had abortions, that's not an easy decision. Many of them regret the decision, actually. So
I don't regret my decision, but it definitely is something you have to work through. And so when I hear things like people are just like, oh, well, women are just using this as a birth control method.
Right.
That is so not true.
Do you think there's any that are?
Sure.
Okay. But the vast majority are not, right? Yeah, that's what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, of course there's going to be people who take it so lightly and it's just not registering to them at all on their moral compass. But no, I feel like many women who've made that choice, you go through a lot afterwards. You go through a lot during, and I don't regret my choice at all. Okay. So I've only been able to recently talk about it as well in the last, I would say, maybe 6 to 7 years.
Okay.
So.
And do you mind me asking how long ago that was that you had that?
That was probably about 19 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And mostly I didn't talk about it because, there's a feeling of shame behind it.
Sure.
Even though I fully believe in that choice, it's not as accepted. It's not as accepted. It didn't feel like then.
Do you feel like it's a shame coming from you, or do you think it's like a inflicted shame by other people's judgment of your decision? Other people's judgment of my decision. Okay. Yeah. Which is why you don't regret it. Right. Okay. So that's why I'm pro-choice, because I definitely feel it's a choice that
I should be able to make.
As a woman in general?
As a woman.
Okay. Do you think the dad has any say-so at all in that decision?
Gosh. This is a hard one for me, and I'll tell you why. And I've shared the story with my son, so he knows.
Okay.
But my son, who is alive now,
right,
and is the most amazing person, and I cannot imagine a world without him.
Right.
When I found out I was pregnant of him, I did not want to have a baby.
Okay.
And his dad, who was adopted, just told me, like, please, this is like my only blood relative I know and will know.
Right.
Like, let's figure this out and make it work, and let's do what we, I want this child. And it's not that I didn't want him either. I was in my last year of college.
Right.
And
this wasn't the best time.
It was not the best time.
Yeah.
And I also knew that his dad was not the person I wanted to have children with. So I knew that in my heart, I just knew that deep down inside.
Sure.
But I said, you know what? Like, dang, I never thought about it like that. I don't know what it's like to be adopted. I don't know what that feels like. So I said, okay. And he didn't turn out to be the greatest dad.
Okay.
And so, and I'm glad that I was talked into that decision.
Yeah. So you don't regret that decision.
I don't regret that at all.
Right.
But when I took into account his side of things, so like he did have a very active decision in us having our child.
Yeah. But
did not perform.
Okay. Right. Didn't hold up his end of the bargain.
Did not hold up his end of the bargain.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, like that's
But just like in general, do you think that like if there's a situation where, let's say the guy and a girl, let's just say it's a one-night stand, she gets pregnant, she wants to abort, they have no intent, neither one of them has any intention of staying together, but he says, look, if you just give me the baby, you'll never hear from me again, I'll take the baby, raise it on my own or whatever, just please don't get an abortion. Do you think he should have any say-so at all, or do you think she has the absolute right to say, nope, sorry, see ya?
Gosh.
Hard hitters.
That's a hard one.
Hitters, yeah.
Ooh. Oh. Well, jeez.
Love it.
Okay. I'm weighing. I'll think out loud, just so it's on there.
Perfect.
The first part of me says yes, like okay, let him have a decision. But then I think about like, okay, wait, I'm going through this for 9 months.
True.
I'm growing an entire human.
Yes. The burden will be mostly on you.
The burden is mostly on me.
Right.
And then, just like giving up for adoption, just like walking away from a baby, just like having an abortion, there's always a toll.
Right.
Afterwards.
Right.
So I when I think about all those things and put those into play, I think it should be the woman's choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an honest answer.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And then I also think about like birth control, like the things we put our bodies through to be on birth control, because the abortion that I did have, I was on birth control. When you got pregnant, you were on birth control. Oh, and I had struggled a long time. I've tried, I don't know how many methods of birth control I've tried, the ring, multiple pills. And I just don't think men understand that. It is
the toll it takes on you.
The toll it takes on your body.
Right.
And mentally. I mean, it's messing with your hormones. And
for sure. Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel really terrible on it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So women got enough problems with hormones as it is, right? I mean.
What are you saying there? What? Wait a minute. No.
Sorry, I couldn't pass that one up. Couldn't pass it up.
No, but like, the burden of birth control, the burden of growing a life inside you, the burden
Yeah.
of childbirth. It's like just all on the woman. So
right. Yeah, that
difficult.
part is, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As far as the body and the toll it's going to take, right? Yeah. Yeah, and see, I could agree with all of that.
Yeah.
I've watched my wife do it 4 times, and I don't envy that at all.
Yeah.
I don't sit there and go, man, I wish that was me right now. You know? And she did all 4 with no drugs, nothing.
Oh, my
totally natural.
goodness.
I mean, like a champion.
Ooh.
I mean, I admire my wife in so many ways in
I
that
admire her
aspect.
now, too.
This is like, you're amazing.
I was one of those crunchy moms when I had my first. I was like, I don't want any drugs. I don't want, I want no intervention. Like, I'm just going to have him naturally. Like, no.
It didn't happen. You got halfway and you're like, oh, no.
No, I got 36 hours in.
Oh, that's a long labor.
Yeah, and I was like, okay,
Dang.
give me something. I can't do this. Yeah.
That sounds like a hard labor.
Hard.
Yeah, none of ours were that long.
Nope.
That's crazy.
So
what about like when, and this is, again, if you've heard my conversation with other people on the show, I always say that to me, there's so many different discussions we could have on this topic, but really ultimately the main question to me is like, when is it a life? Like at what point? And everybody seems to have a different answer. Like some would say sperm to egg, boom, life. Others would say not till it passes through the vaginal canal. Others would say not till first breath, just kind of different viewpoints on it. So I mean, like, do you have a stance there, or is that still kind of too hard to tell?
that's fuzzy for me because, I mean, I can't not acknowledge that, like, when you can see a picture of something and you can see the heart beating, like, it's got a heart.
Yeah.
It's beating, you know?
Right, well, that's pretty early on, right?
Like, yeah.
That's like first ultrasound, you're going to hear that.
Consciousness, though, like, God, that's hard.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that... So if you're asking, like, hey, go through and have an abortion when your baby's 6 months, like, no.
You'd be against that.
Just because you want one? Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Well, what would be a reason at 6 months that you would see as a valid reason that you wouldn't have any
Is the
complaints
baby
about?
not viable? Is it going to die?
Okay, well that's different, I guess, but that's more like a medical procedure. Well, I mean, some would say an abortion is a medical procedure, but depending on who you're talking to. That's more like, look, you're going to have you're just going to be stillborn. The baby's already dead. We've already done our ultrasound. We can see the baby is dead. The heartbeat is gone.
Or there's major complications.
Sure.
It's not going to survive.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But
6 months, healthy baby inside the womb. There's no reason.
I've seen what that looks like inside a womb, and that would be really, really hard to justify that for me. So
to go even farther, the people that say up to 9 months, would you say those people are out of their minds, or what? For
no reason other than I just don't want to have a baby now.
Well, let's say for no medical reason. Right, because you can say I just don't want to have a baby. That means different things to everybody. They have different reasons for not wanting to have the baby. It could be financial. It could be like I'm not with the dad anymore. It could be I'm too young to be a mom. There's so many different reasons.
No, that would be really hard. I would say no.
Okay, so even at that point, you would say that a woman shouldn't have a choice at that point. I'm getting in a corner.
You're getting me in a corner. You are. Oh God.
Only because it's interesting to me. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I think
no, it's okay. I don't mind.
These are the questions to me that are important.
No, I don't mind. At one point in my life, I would have been really concerned about, like, am I being a hypocrite? Am I contradicting myself? But like at 45, you're learning every day. So
yeah, totally.
You're going to contradict yourself, and you're going to change, and
right.
So sometimes I sound like that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
See, I would never choose to do that.
Okay.
I wouldn't choose that. But who am I to tell someone else?
Right.
You can't.
But see, that's not true of everything, though, right? Because you could say, and again, I'm known for my extreme examples, but if you were to say, I would never kill somebody like an adult, like I would never murder somebody, but who am I to tell Jeffrey Dahmer he can't kill 30 people and eat them?
Oh, yeah.
Like, who am I to tell him he can't do that? Of course, no one would ever say that because that's crazy, because what he's doing is absolutely wrong. no matter what, right? There's no reason that anybody would try to justify what he did. They might say, oh, he had traumatic past. Maybe that's why he was nuts. But that doesn't justify the murder of all those people, you know? So
I think my reluctance comes from, yet again, someone telling a woman what she can and can't do.
Right.
So.
And that's where I fall too. And that's where I say that I feel like it has become more of a feminist issue than it is really even pro-life, pro-choice.
Yeah.
That's really not the issue anymore.
Right.
It becomes a matter of, who are you to tell me what I can do with my body? And something I've said over and over, and I know pro-choice people hate when I say this, but I'll say it anyway, because it's my podcast, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But when I say, like, because they'll say that, like, my body, my choice, and I'll always say, look, I know lots of pro-life people. I don't know a single pro-life person who has any concern with what a woman does with her own body. Their concern is what you're doing with the body inside your body.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why, to me, that whole argument of my body, my choice,
I can see that,
doesn't really hold up. But I understand the pro-choice side. When they say my body, they're including all of it. You know, it's like,
at some point, and it's all dependent on the person.
Right.
When do you acknowledge that is a separate piece of you?
Right. Which is why that's the most important question.
Yeah.
When is that a life?
When is that a life?
Right. So then, for a person like me who does believe sperm to egg that's life,
Okay.
and the reason I feel like my reasons are scientific. I think science proves that personally. I think the clump of cells argument has been thrown out the window even by pretty much all of science. But it's the idea of it is living, right? Because if it's not living, you don't need to do anything to it, right? It's like the example of Bill Burr. Did you ever see the Bill Burr stand-up comedian where he talks about the cake? He goes, what if I make a cake and I put the flour and the sugar and I mix all together and I put it in the cake pan and I put it in the oven, and then you come by and you yank it out of the oven and you throw it on the thing. And I say, what did you do? And you say, well, it wasn't a cake.
Not yet.
And he says, if you would have left it in the oven for an hour, it would have been. Right?
Okay, yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Right? So to me, it's like, is it living? And if it wasn't living, you just leave it alone. It's going to die. It's not going to survive. But see, that's why I hold to it being life at sperm to egg. You know, but there could be a number of complications.
Maybe because it's dependent on the woman's body.
Okay. Sure.
Up until a point when it can survive without it.
Right.
Without medical, I mean,
yes.
Like babies, man, you can have a really preterm baby and it will survive now, thank goodness.
With human help.
With human intervention.
So even if it's not living off the mother, it's still living off other adults.
Right.
Because they have to feed it, they have to care for it, they make sure it's the right temperature, you know, keep it in that little incubator thing and the whole deal. Right? So some people say, well, it has to, whenever it can survive on its own. I was like, that's like when it's 22. like what are you talking about?
Oh,
you know?
Geez. Okay, yeah. Well, there we go.
It's like, I mean, really, like even if you took like a 6-year-old and you say, all right, I'm going to be gone for a week, I'll see you later. You're going to come home, that kid is not going to be alive.
Oh, okay.
Most likely. You know, I mean, it could. I mean, maybe if it knows where the food is and it.
Let's keep it to the room. Because you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So when you think about it that way.
Yeah. But,
that's hard. When my abortion was pretty much at the cutting off point of when it was allowed. So
oh wow, like legally.
Legally, yeah, it was.
Which I don't even know what that is.
Back then it was 11 weeks.
Okay.
I think it was close.
Okay.
And that was a really hard decision for me. And
because you already had your young son already, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like 1 or 2 at the time.
He must have been. Yeah, must have been about maybe 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely younger than 3.
Right. And his name's Raiden, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Did that come from Mortal Kombat?
Everyone says that. Everyone says that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's a Japanese mythology.
Okay.
Like figure. So
did you guys just look into a name book? And
it was. Okay. It was. Well, I mean, Raiden in Mortal Kombat is also.
Yeah, he shoots lightning.
So that's where he came from, but nobody was into Mortal Kombat.
Okay. That's awesome.
No, we just really liked that name. And I remember walking through Home Depot one time, and I was very, very pregnant, and this man stopped me, which is like, why are you talking to me? He goes, wow, you're really pregnant. I'm like,
come on, you never say that to anybody.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Come on.
He goes, do you know what it is? And I said, it's a boy. And he's like, do you have a name? And I said, his name's Raiden. Mm-hmm. And he was like, wow. He goes, I just got a feeling in my chest. He's like, that's a great, strong name. He's gonna be something someday. Oh wow. And I told him that story, and Raiden loves that story.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
He doesn't be like, oh mom, that's ridiculous.
No, he loves it. Well, because I think he's great. So yeah. Right. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, cool. Well, if you got another hour for me, we can dive into spirituality.
No more on pro-choice, pro-life.
Yeah, unless you got more to say. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to stop there. I'm open.
No,
we can talk. However more you want to go.
I feel like
I don't want to cut you off.
Clear.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think so. Okay. Yes. Another awesome conversation about that. So, thank you for the civility. I know that is definitely a hot topic issue. So.
Well, at this point in my life, like, I can understand why people are very passionate about that.
Right. It's a big issue.
It's a very hard issue.
This would have been a different conversation if you and I met when we were in our 20s.
Oh.
And in our activist phases, we would have
probably
had each other's throats.
This glass would have been broken by now.
Yeah.
That's that little Star Wars character thing, huh?
Which one?
The print on that fabric. Isn't that from Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Porgs? I think they're called porgs. Yeah, the things that Chewbacca was barbecuing on the whatever one that was.
Wow.
Yeah. That's another one. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan, but it's not like I'm not like diehard. Like
Star Wars. The only part of Disneyland I like is the New Orleans area.
That is my favorite area.
Haunted Mansion, all that.
Yep.
Just leave me there.
Or even just walking around that area.
Yeah.
Like, I love, that's why one day I hope to actually go to New Orleans. I've never been there.
Me either.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I want to go strictly for cemeteries.
Yeah.
For there.
Did you ever read, are you a reader of novels? Mm-hmm. Did you ever read Anne Rice's Mayfair Witch Chronicles?
No.
Ooh. So she's the one that did the Vampire Chronicles, right? Interviewed the vampire. But I preferred her Mayfair Witch ones. Okay. So the first one's called The Witching Hour. But it's about this family of witches, basically, like modern day, but it's all in that area. Like, they live in this old like mansion in like that New Orleans Square kind of stuff. Oh, it's fantastic.
I try and make a point to visit a cemetery every place I travel. Okay. I just love.
I used to do that too.
Love cemeteries.
How funny! It's amazing. This is amazing. Like, there's so much of our personalities that are similar.
Yeah.
Yet our beliefs on a lot of things are totally different.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That's okay.
That's really cool.
I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Let me turn on a light here because it's getting kind of dark. Yeah, it's kind of neat. Yeah, I used to go and my favorite one ever was a place called Julian.
Julian, California.
Yeah, have you been there?
It's down south by
it's near San Diego. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I lived there for 10 years.
In Julian?
No, in San Diego.
What part?
Mira Mesa, La Jolla, El Cajon.
Okay. Nice.
On campus.
So you know Ramona then?
Yeah.
Okay, so my wife's family lived in Ramona.
Okay.
And the only time in my whole life I didn't live here was 8 months I lived in Ramona. Then I ended up coming back here because my roommate had to move out and I couldn't afford it. I was living in my car for a while, and then I was like, I just got to go back home with my parents.
Yeah.
And then I would still go visit, and then that's when she got pregnant. So then she came back here, and then this whole, and then we lived with my parents for like the first 3 years of my daughter's life. And just so fun times.
Fun times.
Yeah. But from Ramona, we used to drive up to Julian because they're known for their apple pies and the whole deal. Love Julian. They have a really cool.
I love San Diego.
One there too. I do too.
It's so great.
When it comes to big cities, that's probably my favorite one.
Is it?
I think so. Not that I've been to that many. I mean, I didn't get on a plane until I was 24 for the first time in my life. I've never been to Chicago. I'd love to. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's really fun, but then you hear like it's the highest murder capital, but that's all like that certain like inner group that's killing each other, right? It's like when you hear about gang violence, it's like that doesn't really affect me unless I'm caught in a crossfire. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've been there, and it's like What's everyone afraid of?
Right.
Yeah.
When everybody assumes you go to Chicago, Al Capone's going to pull up and just put a bunch of bullet holes in you and just drive away or something.
Gosh, the cemetery there, I think it's called Greenland Cemetery. Oh, it's beautiful. Like, we spent a whole day there.
That's awesome.
And I wanted to go to one in Maui, but there's so many small ones there that I just didn't have a chance.
Yeah. That's probably pretty cool. Be in Hawaii and go to those there. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I got to travel more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been very many places.
I haven't either, but...
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, so we'll do last. What do we got?
When you were talking about Oceana, she just landed in Heathrow. She's going to Israel for 3 months.
3 months in Israel? Mm-hmm. For what? Just to visit?
Jewish school? Yeah.
Okay.
School. Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to be living there for 3 months.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Amber about her on the show too.
Oh, you did?
But she didn't respond.
Oh, to have
her on the show.
Oceana? Or Amber?
Amber, just because of her and I both identify as Christian, yet we hold very different views on like her very Jewishness of her Christianity, where I don't hold to that. So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about. And she had responded originally and said, "Oh, that might be. Let me think about it."
Maybe now that I'm on here, she will.
Maybe you were the one to get her in the door.
She's, we have a lot of different views as well, her and I. But that's okay.
Yeah. No, Amber's awesome. She's a fun person to talk to, and she's very unique, very different. But what I appreciate about Amber is look, this is what I believe. I'm going for it. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't let anybody. It was funny because she actually got to go. I just had this memory. I used to work at Neverland. I worked at Neverland for 3 years.
The Michael Jackson Ranch?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I worked in the amusement park over there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And we used to have Family Day, where we would throw a big event, and all like Employee Day, basically all the families of the employees would come out. And her and Oceana came out one time for that. Yeah, it was a blast. It was really fun.
How long ago was that? Why didn't I get to go?
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Cool.
It was really fun. And I mean, Oceana must have been 4 or 5.
Little. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Long time.
Yeah, because I think my 22-year-old son was like little. He was like 1 or 2, and he's like 2.5 years younger than my older daughter.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
that's cool.
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we go back a long way, because when we first met her, we were vegetarian, and she's a vegetarian.
She's vegetarian,
right?
Yep.
So we kind of shared that together. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
We knew her way so she was married to what's his name?
Raul.
Yeah. So we knew. Yeah, way before that. So.
Yeah, it's funny because, a long time ago, she mentioned knowing you. She's like, "Do you know him?" And I'm like, "I know of him.
Right.
I know, I'll say hi to him, but I don't know him that well.
Yeah, exactly.
We just both work for the city. So.
Yes, right. Until today, we're getting to know each other well, which is fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into spiritual stuff. So I don't like to start with religion or anything like that. Let's just very basic, simple. Do you believe God exists?
I believe in a higher power.
Okay.
I don't have to label it as God.
No, true. So more like an intelligent design kind of thing?
Sure.
Okay.
Something not necessarily running, but just some presence, some existence of something that I will never be able to explain or understand.
Okay.
That's
well, what leads you to that conclusion though at all? Like, why don't you hold like a atheistic viewpoint? Or maybe it is atheistic,
like God.
Like no. Well, see, this is why I like the term intelligent design, because that could be anything. It could be an energy force. It could be a space aliens. It could be anything. Something with intelligence that created everything that we see on Earth as life: humans, plants, animals, the planet.
Like created poof like Adam? No.
Wouldn't regard but, in any way.
Okay, I liked the word that you use, like energy.
Okay. So an energy force, but does the energy force have intelligence?
Oh, hard. I feel like that's just assigning like a person or thing to that idea. Yeah, I guess maybe an intelligence.
Okay.
A presence.
Right.
Yeah.
Like something that decided, I'm going to make this. You see what I'm saying? Like, or did it just kind of naturally, kind of like
That's hard because, I mean, I want explanation on, like, how did all of this just happen?
Right.
You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the two sides of it. There's either intelligent design or just total random chance. Everything just happened one day. There's the earth. There's the people on it. There's all the stuff that the people need. Well, considering
I can't explain either, and it's hard, I'll just say, like, it's nice to believe in intelligence.
Okay.
Like an energy.
Right.
With intelligence, yeah.
Okay. So now, does that energy force, does it care about us? Or did it just kind of set things in motion and just kind of backed away? Doesn't care what happens to us at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to say yes to that.
Okay.
Just because I have thoughts on, like, prayer and...
That was going to be my next question. Do you ever pray?
I do.
Okay. But nobody's listening if you believe what you just said you believe.
I feel like prayer puts an energy out there, and even if it's just myself listening to it.
Okay.
Because, like, I don't pray to, like, win the lottery.
Right.
Or
I don't either.
I don't pray to, like, hey, like, I want to get accepted to this great college, or like, you know, please, like, somebody get me a Stanley Cup for Christmas. Like, no, like, that's not the kind of...
What is the deal with that, by the way?
I don't know.
I just saw it yesterday. Everybody's posting it.
Massive, gigantic thing.
Yeah. Everybody's posting the Stanley thing. I like, the Stanley Cup used to be the trophy you'd win if you were in the hockey league.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I thought they were talking about. It's like, no.
It's just this trendy... Sadly, not sadly, but it's like...
But like brand new.
Amongst women.
Oh, it's a woman thing?
I feel like it is.
Okay.
I don't know.
I literally just saw it for the first time
I don't see a lot of guys carrying around a
yesterday.
Stanley Cup. But
okay.
No, it's been around for a bit.
Okay. But like yesterday, I'm on Facebook, and I must have saw 4 or 5 different posts about
Stanley Cups.
And I'd never seen that before.
It's a trend. It's just a trend.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's
it's like the Hydro Flask. So like in about 3 months, it's not going to be a thing anymore. Okay. And everyone's going to go buy another $50.
Right. Of course. Whatever's in.
A $50 cup.
You got to stay hip, you know? But anyway, I'm not trying to derail you there.
It's, what was I saying?
All right, so we were talking about creating and then just backing away. Does it care? Why do you pray? Because you said you do pray.
I pray, yeah. I pray mostly in times of need.
Okay.
Of course. I feel like
it's
a lot of prayer.
But you feel like that it's just the words coming out of your own mouth that are going to help your situation. You don't feel like you're actually praying to some kind of being.
I'm praying to something beyond myself, because obviously at that moment I'm not, when I'm going through like a difficult time or I need guidance or something, like I feel this need. I'm obviously not finding that answer within myself, or I'm having trouble, or I'm having a hard time.
But even the fact that you would do that implies that you think maybe something out there might just care about you a little bit, or else you wouldn't even voice that prayer to this thing. Right,
because I'm not finding the answer within myself. So it's like, you know, please help me to get through this time. Like, am I talking to myself? Am I talking to something?
Right.
You know, please show me like a sign. Please help me, you know, work this out in my head. It's mostly those kind of prayers where, you know, I'm not clear at the moment, or I feel like I'm not going down the path I might want to be going, and it's like, give me some clarity, some guidance.
Okay.
So yeah, like, I guess, well, who doesn't like feeling like something cares about you?
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Totally.
You know?
No, absolutely.
So it's like, if I can acknowledge at the moment, like, I might not be taking care of myself the best way, or I might not be making decisions that are great. Like, pray to something that makes you feel that way. Pray to something that, you know, will kind of ground you a little bit. And okay, take a moment and put this out there, put this thought, this energy out there, and see what happens.
Do you ever find yourself praying for other people as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, my son's in the military, please keep him safe over there, or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. And you know, whether anything has control over that situation or not, I just feel like that positive energy, you know, does something. Like, it puts it out there. Right. Maybe to grow. And I know a lot of other people pray for him too. Yeah. And I used to be really opposed to, like, somebody be like, I'll pray for you. I'm like, I don't want you to pray for me. You know? You don't have to pray for me. Yeah. But, you know, I think the word pray, you know, has just kind of been saved for, you know, particular religions. Right. And
it's a religious term.
I don't think it needs to be that, you know, like I'm not offended by that anymore. It's I used to be like, oh, like I'll be thinking of you or whatever. Yeah. And
good thoughts.
Yeah. Good thoughts. Whatever.
Sending good thoughts your way. My
best energy or whatever, you know, and I still do that. But like, if I know that somebody is religious that way and that means something to them, like, I'll just say, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you because it means to them. Yeah, it means to them, and in a way that I am. So you know, I might not be praying to their God, right? But I am praying for them, right? So
So you mentioned earlier that you went to a Catholic school. So was there any point in your life that you believed in, like, the God of the Bible?
I went to Catholic school my whole life, all the way through high school. Okay. I did. I liked the idea of it. It just never settled for me. Okay. Like, I always had questions. Right.
Me too. I've been like that my whole life.
Always questions.
Yeah. I'm still a skeptic.
And I didn't mind it. I feel like my K through 8th, you know, that was pretty structured. Funny story about that. Like, my church, we went to Our Lady of Grace School, and we have a massive cross with Jesus on it. Very realistic. Blood. The slice right here. You could see the holes and the blood and everything. Thorns. Yeah. Very white Jesus.
Of course. You know. Because, you know, very Middle East, you know, obviously, blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus is obviously very biblical.
Days in the sun, but still very white. Yeah. And I remember he looked so real. And I remember my brother telling me that he's like, yeah, that's actually Jesus's body. They just dipped him in wax and put him up there.
Oh my gosh, really?
There was a point in time, I think all I was focused on was, like, sitting in church going, oh my gosh, that's a real body up there. Yeah. And then, I found out that was a lie.
How long did that lie last for? Like years?
Oh, a while. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was funny. He
That's funny, man.
And of course, I brought that up in front of my parents. He's like, I don't remember saying that to you. Yeah. Sure.
And your parents are gone. He winks at you. I remember. So were your parents Catholic?
My parents are Catholic.
Okay. Yeah. Still today?
Still today. Okay. And but the thing about my parents is they weren't pushy. I mean, we went to church. I say that, but they sent me to Catholic school my whole life, and we went to church. But I didn't feel like I needed to stay Catholic. Okay. Or I didn't feel like, if you're not Catholic, this is horrible. You know? Right. So I felt like I had the freedom to ask questions and, you know, not stay there.
And are they totally, like, today, are they like, do they think you're going to go to hell because you're not Catholic? No, or they're totally fine with it? Okay.
We have not ever talked about that. Okay. They have never.
Oh, so they might think that. You just don't know it.
Oh, well, now you say that.
You're going to be calling them on the way home. Hey, Mom. I got a question for you.
No, I don't feel that my parents feel that. Okay. I know that they don't. They're not Catholics that believe the Bible word for word. Okay. It was always presented to me or this is how I feel it was presented to me, is they were nice, beautiful stories, some of them, to explain things that people couldn't explain.
Right. Like the Aesop's Fables kind of thing.
Yeah, like throw in some great morals in there. And, you know, it was... I have never read the Bible cover to cover. I won't even say that I've attempted.
Yeah.
But I never felt a pressure to believe. Like,
right.
Like some kids grew up.
Sure.
So, and especially in my high school, when I got to high school...
Which was still Catholic?
Still Catholic.
Okay.
But also like a Bay Area Catholic school. So I feel like a little progressive, you know, like we had world religions classes, you know. I don't remember being taught anything about like homosexuality or anything, you know, I would say like Baptist kind of.
Sure.
So it felt okay to explore and ask questions and
which I think is very healthy. Very healthy, because I mean I grew up, like I said, I'm still a skeptic. I do consider myself a Christian. I do believe the Bible, but I'm still a skeptic. I'm open. I'm like, okay, I have questions. I'm always going to have questions, but my whole life I've been that guy. I used to drive my parents nuts. I was like, why? But why? You know, I was that kid, you know, and then I didn't become a Christian until I was 24. So I mean, for me, I grew up hating Christians. I hated the whole, this is the one true way. This is the only way. I thought, isn't that a little narrow-minded? You know, this Jesus guy claiming he's the only way. I mean, come on, you know. And I had all these arguments and stuff. But I mean, I think that. And I tell my kids all the time, ask questions. Totally ask questions, because that's how you get answers, right? And you're not always going to get every answer there is, and I hope not, because then, to me, it's almost like, what's the point of living then? If you have everything, if you know everything there is to know, there's no questions that you can have about anything. Boring.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to keep asking questions till the day I die. I want to keep learning new things and hearing, you know, that's part of why I do this. I love this. I love just talking and asking, well, why do you believe that? Why do you think this? Why do you know, and it's kind of interesting how every single episode can be so different because you're different, right? The person sitting across the table from me is totally different. They have their own views and their own thoughts. And, so as far as like, well, which one of these do I want to do first? Let's do heaven and hell first. Do you believe that heaven is... Let's just do heaven first. Do you believe that when a person dies, they go to somewhere great? Do you think that they just cease to exist? Do you think... I mean, is there any kind of afterlife at all in your view?
The only reason I would say yes is because I've had experiences that I feel like I've been communicated with. From the afterlife.
Really? You care to share some of that? That'd be awesome.
Sure. So I have a lot of different stories, but this one was the most special to me. Both of my grandmas had passed, and I remember I was in bed and I was coming out of being asleep. And it was the stage where I was fully present. Like I wasn't asleep, but I wasn't awake. And I felt something like if you're laying in bed and when someone sits on the bed, you feel that pressure. And you feel like something holding my legs down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
About how old are you at this point?
Oh, this was like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. Wow. Pretty recent.
And mind you, like my life at that time was very stressful and like a lot of hard, difficult things I was going through. And so like I think I was more receptive to something coming through, but like I could feel my mom's mom sitting on the bed and she was rubbing my leg and I could feel it.
And you knew specifically it was that grandmother.
I knew it was them.
Okay.
She did that to me when she was alive.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was like a thing.
It was what she was doing.
It was what she was doing.
Okay.
And I could hear her, and I knew it was them because I could hear them talking. They were talking in Spanish, so I didn't really understand like what they were
don't
saying.
speak Spanish?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
I'll blame my parents for that. My dad, man, he should have taught me Spanish.
He's fluent?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah. He left that choice up to me as a very small child. It's like, don't give me a choice as a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So they were speaking, but like my grandmas didn't see each other often, but when they did, they would always catch each other up on everything. So
Okay.
I could tell that they were just like talking, you know, they were talking to each other like they always did. And I could feel them. I could feel my one grandma, and I was like, okay, don't fully wake up, just sit here and like experience this. It's so great, you know.
You weren't scared in any way.
Not at all.
It was very comforting to you.
Comforting.
It was a good experience.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Okay.
Like I woke up and I was crying.
Oh wow.
You know, I had tears, and
Yeah.
so I know that was just them being there and making me feel like everything was going to be okay. And
Wow.
I've had a lot of other things happen where it's like I've heard things, just like little coincidences, if that's what you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's an afterlife. I do.
Okay.
Whether that's like a heaven, I mean, I think heaven's a great thing to believe in. Like, how
Right.
amazing is that?
Well,
to
who
just
doesn't like that?
believe
Yeah,
in
right.
a heaven, you know?
Place where all the pain doesn't exist. There's no
Right.
sadness. Everything's wonderful.
Right,
Yeah.
and you can kind of just like, for me, when I think of heaven, it's like it's my most beautiful scenario. You know, like I love hiking, so like is my
okay.
heaven gonna be in the forest?
Outside, yeah.
You know, and
At the perfect temperature.
exactly. With who I want to be there,
Right.
and you
Right.
know, like I just get to frolic around all day. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, that's kind of one idea that people have had is like everyone has their own personal heaven, and it just kind of is your own happy place.
Your own happy
right?
place.
It's
Yeah.
the place almost like if someone said to you, I want you have all the power in the world, and you just can design a place that you're going to spend eternity, and you can do whatever you make it however you want, kind of a thing, you know.
I guess that's very close to what I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, like, as far as like being visited or however you want to word that by relatives that have passed on, would that scenario then be like they're in their happy place, but they're able to transfer over into the human world, for lack of a better term, and actually visit still living family members, kind of thing, and then they can just go back into their heaven?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, why not, right?
Why not? That sounds great.
Yeah, you're like, hey, if I'm in control, then let's do that. You know, that sounds good.
Well, okay. I mean, watching over, you know, I feel like when people say they have guardian angels or they feel like somebody's watching over them.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that is real.
Right.
I feel
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably agree. I think I would agree with that. I mean, maybe not that exact idea of heaven. I don't think I hold to that, but I do think guardian angels. I think there's a spiritual world all around us all the time that we can't see.
Right. It's not like up there. It's like
a
different plane. Or
yes.
However
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you know, and I think every once in a while we are allowed to see that. And there's kind of blinders taken off for a momentary time, a short time, where you're like, oh, what am I seeing? You know, and I think those in between dream and waking stages that tends to be where people say they have those kind of experiences. I don't know why that is.
I don't know either.
It's almost kind of frustrating because, in a sense, because you're kind of arguing with yourself about it, and you're going, was I sleeping? I know I was awake.
Right.
But I also know I wasn't like fully awake. Like I wasn't like just walking down the street at 2:00 in the afternoon and saw that or something or felt that. You know, it's always like, oh, I'm just coming out of a deep slumber and now I'm awake, but I'm not. You know, that's kind of frustrating.
And it didn't it doesn't happen often. It's not like that's always happening to me. So
right.
That's why I feel like, okay, I needed that then.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah. Every other time in your life that's happened, has it been similar? Like it's a family member, or has there ever been anybody you don't know that you're seeing? Or
no,
okay.
Mostly because I think I hold a lot of my strength with my grandmas, so that's what comes to me.
Okay, so it's always been them, your grandparents, your grandmothers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. What about hell? You think hell's a real place? That's more fun to talk about, right? I mean, that's more of a happy place.
Gosh. I mean, I guess if you have... Well, when you say, like, do you believe in heaven? Like, the logical thing is, like, if you believe in heaven...
There has to be a hell.
There has to be a hell.
Right. Well, not necessarily. I mean, you could just say, I think, like, it, kind of in the way you just described heaven, as something that if it's a place where everybody kind of just develops their own heaven, and it's like, well, that could be anybody.
Yeah.
And then maybe there is no such thing as hell. Like everybody's going to be in a heaven, but then you also have to put people like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy and Donald Trump
want him
in that group, right? Yeah. Right, exactly. Right. There's almost like a sense of justice that we want for certain people. Like, and you hear some of the horrendous things somebody did. You're like, I don't want him to be happy for the rest of eternity after he raped a bunch of children or something.
Right, because what does that mean then? Like, no matter what you do, we're all going to end up the same place.
Exactly.
And I don't think that sits well with anybody.
I know. That's the problem with that kind of a theory of if it's all up to us and we determine what's going to be our heaven, then, hey, maybe somebody, like, to use a sick example, somebody that's like a child rapist, like, you know what, my heaven's going to be just raping little kids for all of eternity. Let's make that be my heaven. That's my happy place, right? And it might be his happy place because he's a sick weirdo, horrible. You know? It does.
Yeah.
But people are sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, some people. Obviously, that's a rarity. I don't think there's a whole bunch of people like that.
I see that. Well, I guess for those kind of people, I wish there was a hell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who would be in there, in your view? Like what kinds of how bad would you have to be to get that and not the personal heaven of your own choice?
Oh gosh. Well, those are child molesters for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
100%. I think
I'm with you.
Doesn't everybody agree with that?
I would think so. Yeah. If they don't, I don't trust them. Those have got to be the worst.
Goodness, like people like you said, like you're going to mention Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah. You know,
serial killers,
the Ed Kempers, the Ted Bundys, the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always struggled with that, the concept of God in that sense, because the way it's been presented to me is that God can forgive anything.
True.
So, a person like, you know, Ted Bundy can ask for forgiveness and be granted forgiveness.
Right. Are you okay with that though?
No.
Like, yeah, right. Yeah.
No. I don't like that at all.
Right.
I mean, something like that, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that, you know, you should be given a chance of forgiveness. Like,
right.
Everybody sins. Everybody does.
True. Do you believe in sin? Do you think that is an actual thing?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I put it that way. But, yeah, I do. Okay. I mean, I think people's ideas of what is a sin are very different.
Right.
So
some of them are pretty universal. Most people would say murder's wrong.
Murder's wrong. Yeah.
I mean, like premeditated murder, not like there's exceptions for self-defense and there's, you know, exceptions in other cases, but just like, I don't like that guy, I'm going to blow his face off.
Right.
You know?
Wrong. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, you'll find some wacko out there that'll say, nah, there's nothing wrong with that. Right, but he's the weirdo. He's the anomaly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. But I mean, what about things like lying or
no.
Would you call that a sin?
Human nature. Sometimes.
Sure, we do it, but is it wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong.
Yeah. If you ask your kid if they ate the cookie and they say no, it wasn't me, and he's got crumbs all over his face, Is that, would that be like timeout time, or would that be any kind of
a consistent behavior?
Yeah,
something needs to happen,
right?
But I'm not saying lying is right, but a child, that thought process for them, like when a kid lies about eating a cookie, and I had a child like that. So
I think we all have.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think I was that child at one point.
Same. But, the first thing that go through their mind is like, oh, I just don't want to get in trouble. Like, I'll have chocolate all over my face. Yeah. But, like, let's just see if I can
and they'll
get away with
lie
it.
Until they can't anymore.
But I feel like that, as maturity happens and, you realize that it's not as big of a deal.
It's not murder.
No.
Right.
No. That's just a learning experience.
Okay.
Like, to say, like, oh, you're sinning.
Right.
That just has a heavy feel to it.
But what about like in like religious circles? Let's take like, the monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of what they would call sexual sin. Do you see any of that? Like adultery would be one. Premarital sex would be one, or sex outside of marriage would be one. Do you see any issue at all with any of those?
Premarital sex, no. I don't care about that.
Okay.
Sex outside of marriage,
no. Okay.
No. The adultery thing, like, okay, you chose to make a commitment at that point, and you're choosing to
break it.
Okay. So, yeah, that's not something that's good.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, are you redeemable? Yeah. Can you be forgiven? Sure.
I'm with you on that.
Is it like a mistake? Sure.
Right. I'm with you on all that.
Yeah.
But I also think Jeffrey Dahmer can be redeemed also. So,
okay.
depending on, because of course the Christian view is that
anybody can,
but it can't just be it can't be lip service. It can't be just you saying, "Oh, I'm sorry because I got in trouble for what I did, and that's why I'm sorry." If it's a genuine no, I'm
and you just leave that up to God to decide.
To decide
if it's real.
Yeah, because only He knows. Nobody knows my heart. I don't even know my own heart sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? I think only God can see inside of me and knows whether or not I'm genuine. But yeah, as far as human to human. Like if I come to you, let's say I do something against you and I come to you and I say, I'm really sorry. You have no way of knowing. You can base it just on my posture. Maybe if I come to you weeping and I'm just like suicidal because of what maybe you're more likely to be like, oh man, I think he's really sorry. But I'm just like, hey, I'm sorry. Get over it. Would you just go over? I'm sorry. Okay.
That says you're not.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Right.
So it's just depending on how you say it. But ultimately you really don't know if my heart is really asking for forgiveness. I think only a spiritual being would be able to see inside the spirit of somebody. I don't think another human could really see that. So.
Okay. I feel like, I guess if Jeffrey Dahmer had ever come to regret his decisions and he was truly remorseful, okay.
Right.
I'm not his judge, so
true. Right. Right.
To say that it can't happen, I think it can. I think people can be remorseful for what they've done.
Sure.
I think the other side of it is like, do we really want to give somebody like that a pass and even forgiveness?
Especially if it's still in the human realm.
Right. Because
there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, he's shown signs of being a changed man.
Right.
And you let him out and he rapes and kills 3 more women. And then he goes back to jail and he spends 20 years and they let him out and he does it again. Yeah. It's like he's just biding his time,
Yeah.
So.
That's scary.
Right. Yeah, all the repeat offender kind of stuff is very frightening, especially when I hear the stories of the parents. They're like, my child would still be here if you would have left that monster locked up.
Them in jail. Yeah.
Right.
True.
Yeah. All right. All right, I got 2 more for you.
Okay.
So you mentioned the Bible. Mm-hmm. What are your views on the Bible? You think it's Part true, some true, none true, all true. I'm deducing that you don't hold it as all true. No. Yeah. I didn't think you were that.
I was too much of a. It just. Like, some of the stories, like the Ark.
Okay. Like, don't believe the Ark story? Why? No. Too far-fetched?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I've always thought. I thought that when I was little. I mean, it was like...
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, you just formed this man.
Yeah.
Grabbed a rib.
Yeah.
You know, created...
Yeah.
So 2 people basically just populated the entire world.
Yeah.
That's really hard for me. A lot of the stories are. It was
actually incest. Because it wasn't just the 2 of them, it was the 2 of them and then their children.
Their children and then their children.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is awesome to think about. But things were different then. It wasn't quite the same. But still weird. Still weird in today's society.
I feel like the Bible was just, in some ways, a lovely way to explain unexplainable things, and then also, a lesson. Like, not all the Bible stories are nice. So it's like, here's a story to scare you a little bit and teach you a lesson, and here's why. And
do you think it was just like people writing it in for that purpose?
I think some of the people were real. Like, Jesus was a real person.
Okay. So you believe he was a real historical figure?
Sure.
Okay.
Why? Yeah. I mean,
but do you think the things recorded about him are like, at least the things that he said were true? Or do you think that was all fabricated based on the actual person being a real person?
No, I think some of the things he said were true, and then there was stories to go along with it to nail that down. Here's what he said, and here's the story behind it, and
here's why he said it.
And why, yeah.
Okay. And you think some of that stuff's probably not true? Like the explanation of what he said?
The stories behind the explanation, yeah.
Okay.
Like, you need a good story to drive a point sometimes, right?
Right. But like when he said, assuming if the Bible's true, at least this part of it, where he says, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me. That's like that's back to where I was saying, like, why I didn't like Christians and their beliefs, because that's very exclusive to say, you have to be this thing or you're out. Right? It's this or hit the road. So something like that he said, do you think he actually said that, or do you think that was like added by Christians in order to like?
I see what you're saying.
Like,
gosh, maybe he said it.
Okay.
Maybe it was added because they're like, wait, our way is the best way.
Right. Right.
That is actually one thing I really don't like about Christianity is you're not a real Christian unless you do this and this. Like, you have to believe everything in the Bible.
Right.
I was Catholic my whole life, but, when I met my ex-husband, I gave Christianity a shot. I mean, I went all in, like,
really?
What I feel like was all in.
Meaning what? Meaning you went to church?
I went to church. I was, at one point, I was like the head of the ministry for feeding the homeless at the Good Sam shelter. Okay. Like, I participated in all the activities. I did the women's tea. I was part of the planning process. I was even a deaconess at one point.
So what point in all that did you say, no, I'm out?
I don't really feel it brought me any closer to God. People disappointed me. Human beings.
Sure.
The human being factor.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't need this.
Right. You didn't feel like it was adding anything to your life.
I met some really great people and I met some not so great people. And like the feeling overall was like, if I'm meant to be with some of these people, then I'll meet them organically a different way.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah, never know, right?
But, I remember we were taking a financial class, like a faith-based financial class at the beginning, very early on. And the teacher of that class, this was when the gay marriage was a hot topic. Mm-hmm. And I remember him in class, he was like, I can't believe they're letting gays marry each other. Like, can you imagine what's next? They're just going to let people start marrying animals.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I'm out. Like,
right.
I didn't go to another class, and man apologized, and I was like, this is just not for me.
Okay. So that was kind of a turning point.
Well, it was that, and then surprisingly, like the Good Sam thing, I was like, oh, I'm in a Christian church. Like, people are going to be knocking down my door to sign up to feed the homeless.
Yeah, nope.
And that was not happening. Yep. It was the same people every time.
Right.
And I would be calling and asking, like, can you just provide me? You don't even have to come serve.
Right.
Like, at one point I was like, you don't even have to come and be around and serve. Just give me some food to take. Yeah. And I was like, okay, disappointed.
Yeah. Sometimes that would even be atheists. Like, I've been a part of those kind of ministries, and sometimes it's people that don't even believe in God that are willing to serve and feed people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, above sometimes the religious people.
Right.
I've said before, I'm not a Mormon. I do not believe Mormon doctrine or theology, but Mormons are some of the most giving,
service-oriented.
Yes.
Yeah. They
will help you. They will give up their whole Saturday to help you if they need to. Right? They put Christians to shame, in my opinion, in that area, Yeah. So I would speak for myself, and to address something you said a minute ago, I don't believe the theology of saying, well, you're only a Christian if you do these certain things, right? I don't think that's first of all, I don't think that's biblical. I don't think that's what the Bible teaches. I do think that it teaches that to me, there's only one thing, and I think the Bible teaches us, there's only one thing that makes you a Christian. One. There's only one thing that matters, and that's whether or not you're indwelt by Christ.
If you're what?
Indwelt. Like the idea is, that we're all born sinners, which you would agree with, right? We just talked about that. And the only, cure for that is the perfect sacrifice, which is Christ dying on the cross. So when you receive him as your Savior, you literally, he comes in and he dwells inside you. That's the Christian teaching, right? So that's why you have verses like where in like the end of Matthew, or they're saying that they'll come to me and say, did we not do this in your name? Did we not do this in your name? And he'll say, away from me, I never knew you. Because these are people saying, oh, I did this. I went and I fed the people at the shelter, and I did this, and I'm a wonderful guy, and I did all these great things. He's like, who are you? You're not one of mine. Like, we don't have a relationship. You don't know me. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so that's really the only thing that matters. So to me, it's not like, well, are you a Christian? Well, yeah, I go to church. That's not what I asked you, right? Oh, I read my Bible. Well, those are all good things. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that do those things that probably aren't really Christians because they're not indwelt by Christ.
Right.
So that's really the only
So
thing.
You're saying it doesn't matter what kind of a person you are.
Well, that's difficult. Okay, so let me. That's a good question. Thank you for asking that.
Are you like the most amazing, wonderful person?
So thank you for asking that, because that's important. So the Bible also teaches that when he comes in and indwells you, he changes you from the inside out. Does it mean you're perfect? No. But now the difference is, and I've seen this in my own life, because I told you a little bit about my story. Like, I hated Christians. I had all these things. But now, like, when I commit certain sins or I do things that are wrong, I have a conviction in my life that was never there before. So now there's like this inner struggle within me that was never there, so that's how he kind of changes and molds me, and he shows me what's right, what's wrong, and he changes me from the inside. It's not instant. It's not like, all right, I became a Christian yesterday, now I'm never going to sin again, and I'm the perfect, and I'm walking on water, and I'm doing all. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But if someone comes to me and they say, yeah, I'm a Christian and I commit all these sins and it's totally okay, God loves me anyway, I don't care, then I'm like, I don't know about that. But if someone comes to me and says the same scenario, right? I commit all these exact same sins the other guy said, but I'm broken over it, I feel terrible, I'm convicted.
So are you saying you didn't feel that way before?
Right.
Oh, okay.
For certain things, like obviously there's guilt. Yeah. Right, like if you grow up in a family and they're teaching you it's wrong to lie, like let's say that's your family's number one thing, and they're harping your whole life, never lie, it's the worst thing you could ever, never lie. And let's say I'm an atheist and I'm 40 and I tell a lie, I might feel guilty just because of all that I've been taught my whole life. So there's that aspect too. But for me, there were certain things that maybe I never. I usually put it this way: I started to hate the things I used to love, as far as sinful behavior, like things that I never saw a problem with, I never had any conviction with, I never had any guilt at all, because I was like, whatever. Some of the things we just talked about that I'd asked you, like, well, do you think this is sinful? Like some of the sexual, so like premarital sex outside of marriage, that kind of thing. Like, maybe that's a good example. Like, if I was to go cheat on my wife today, I would be convicted. I would feel horrible about it. However, if I would have done that before I was a Christian, probably would have felt the same way. Because I already know that, that's one of those things that's been ingrained in me, it's not cool to cheat on your spouse, Right. So it's just like one of those kind of things. But, so anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. I am not that guy that says, oh, you're a Christian? How many hours a day do you read your Bible? Oh, only 2.5? Oh, it's got to be 3 or else you're not a Christian. You go to church? Oh, only on Christmas and Easter? Sorry, you're out. It's not like that.
What about taking the Bible as truth, everything? Because that was the biggest one for me. Again,
I do take the Bible as truth. Okay. I personally do, but I don't think that's a make or break for whether or not you're a Christian. That would be a different conversation I would have with somebody, because as I said, I'm a skeptic. Yeah. But I spent years looking at that exact thing. Like, well, how can I trust the Bible? Like, if everything that I'm getting out of it is what I'm holding to, I should probably make sure it's right and true and trustworthy. Because if it's not, who cares, right? So that
seems like a lifetime of work.
It is.
Right there.
It is. Well, and it's still ongoing, obviously. Yeah. And I'm open to, because people always pose to me, Ryan, what if they found bones and they could definitively prove it's the bones of Jesus? And there was no argument. It was definitely 100% the bones of Jesus. Would that change your faith? Yeah, it would. Yeah. It would, because that means he didn't resurrect. And if he doesn't resurrect, my faith is pointless. Right. It doesn't matter, because then he was just some Jewish guy who said some cool things and then died. Right. And that was
Which is kind of what I believe.
Right. So. Exactly. Yeah, because the resurrection is a big deal. I mean, that's what all of Christianity hinges on. People say, oh, Christmas is the biggest Christian holiday. I disagree. I think Easter or Resurrection Day, because that's what matters. Just because some guy was born.
Great. He was born.
Great. Yeah. He was a great religious teacher.
A lot of people are born.
Exactly. Yeah. And even people that aren't believers in Jesus will say, oh, he was a great teacher. He said some wonderful things. I have the Beatitudes around my neck. I think he's a wonderful teacher. But you say, yeah, but did he die and resurrect? No. Yeah. Right. So that's kind of the kicker, the kicker
that makes
of
sense.
It. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. But
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right, final question for you. And this is one I ask almost everybody.
Okay.
If, hypothetically here, if the God of the Bible is real and the Bible's true, 100%, front to back, everything in it.
Okay.
Would you believe it?
And I had
absolute
proof.
Yes.
Sure.
You would? Okay.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, there's nothing in it you'd be like, oh, I can't bring myself to believe that. No matter what. Like, would you literally change your stance on things like...
Would I believe it and subscribe to it?
Right.
Okay.
Like things like...
I'd believe it.
Premarital sex. Would you be like, no, okay, now I believe that's not okay because... or even homosexual marriage, like you just said. Like, right, see that? See, the face says it all.
No. No, I mean, if it was proven to me,
right.
Like, I could believe it, but do I follow?
It's a hard hypothetical.
And do I go with it?
Because I'm asking you to think in a way that your mind isn't at right now because you haven't been shown that.
Abandon my beliefs about these things and then...
In other words, yes.
And adopt those as my new stance?
Correct.
I don't think I could.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I guess I'm going to hell.
But not because of that. I wouldn't say because of that. No, but I mean, I know that's a hard question because it's I'm asking you to almost like reinvent your mind.
Yeah.
When it's not, right? Right. But I mean, like if you were to say to me, Ryan, if you found out definitively tomorrow that the God of the Bible isn't the real God and the Bible's not true, would that, would you change your stance on things? I would probably say ultimately, yes. I would probably no longer consider myself a Christian or say that I believe, the same kinds of things. But then I would probably still hold to some of the things just because I think they're good for society, like adultery.
Right.
I wouldn't then say, God's not real? All right, tomorrow I'm going out and cheating on my wife 12 times, or whatever, right? Or I'm going to become a heroin addict, or I'm going to do all these. No, because that's not going to make for a happy life for myself.
For yourself.
Then I would probably at that point become more of a humanist, where I would be like, okay, my life is
doesn't
now...
that kind of prove that you don't need that then to
depending.
Have some sort of moral standards?
No, you don't. I agree. But you don't have a reason for your moral standards unless there's a God. Because if I said to you, if you said to me murder's wrong, I would say, why? And you'd say...
It's just been always an accepted idea.
Says who?
My parents.
Right. Right. But how do you know they're right? I mean, who says they're right? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's really no standard. But I would say, because God said so. Which, of course, you could say... Was he
the first one that said so?
God?
Yeah.
I would think so. If the God of the Bible is real. I mean, he's been existing before anything. So.
I mean, where did that idea come from?
Him. I would say he created people, and he doesn't want us to kill each other. Because I would hold the view that he loves us and he cares about us, right? That's something that we talked about in the beginning of this discussion, of whether or not this energy force cares about us or not. I would say yes.
But even as like a kid, like before you have a full understanding of that, when you're taught. I don't remember like running around as a small child and being like my natural instinct or my want was to be killing things. Like, right. So
I think it's ingrained in us. I think there is a moral code that is ingrained in us, whether we believe in God or not. I think he's the one.
But you think it was
putting it there
by him?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because
see, that's where I would say. Yeah. Okay.
It would have had to have been put there by the same thing, person, being, light source, energy source.
My energy that I believe in, my higher power.
But my point is, everyone seems to have that same moral code when it comes to certain things. So it either came from the same source, or we all just happen to come up with the same thing on our own. What are the odds on that?
Right.
What's your moral code? Oh, it's the same as mine. Oh, I just came up with it all by myself. No, I don't think you did. I think it came from somewhere else.
Isn't it? But I mean, doesn't it? It feels better to me to just let people be with whatever they believe in.
I agree, unless it's true. Unless what I believe is true. Because I've used this equivalent. And again, I always use the hypothetical because I know you don't believe this. But when I use this hypothetical, it means that it is true whether we believe it's true or not, right? It just is true. If Christianity is true, then by saying you should just let people believe what they believe, what you're basically asking me to do, if it's true, is to watch someone walk towards a cliff that they can't see and fall over the end and not tell them, no, stop, there's a cliff there. And they might say, dude, what are you talking about? There's no cliff. What are you talking about? I don't need Jesus. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But if it's true, there's a cliff that I can see that they can't, right? Yeah. But of course, you could apply that to any religious system. A Mormon might say, well, unless you believe in the Book of Mormon or you follow Mormon doctrine, there's a cliff you can't see.
Yeah.
Sure. But it all hinges on
So they all
whether
have
it's
their
true.
own cliffs.
I
You're
guess.
all trying to You're all trying to get each other to not fall over.
Except, yes, right. Except as far as I know, Christianity is the only one that would make the claim that it's the only one. And of course, Mormonism falls under the blanket of Christianity, as does Jehovah's Witnesses, and that they all kind of fall in there, even though they're very different.
Yeah.
But like somebody like a Hindu or a Buddhist would just say, no, whatever you believe is your truth, and that's fine. Right? There's no reason to try to convert somebody because the whole point is your own inner happiness. And if you can reach nirvana in whatever way that is, great. Fantastic.
And it's so important that it's literally the cause of so much bloodshed and fighting in the world.
Which is sad because that's not what Jesus
That's also
wanted.
a huge turnoff.
It is, but that's when you go back to like...
I don't need any more drama.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But that's where you go back to people. And like you said, people disappoint
People
you.
disappoint.
So when people with a Jesus t-shirt on go out and kill people in the name of Jesus, with air quotes...
That doesn't mean when they go out and oppress people in the name of Jesus.
Right.
And that's where some of those beliefs
Correct.
me.
But see, I would say that that's not what Jesus taught. If you're ever harassing or hurting, like, and I mean like hurting, but see, this is where we can get into some little things right there. So just like saying something like homosexual lifestyle is sinful. Some might take that to be oppression, right? But to me, I think oppression would be as if I walked up to gay couples in the middle of a city or something, and they're holding hands, and I yanked their hands apart, and I pushed one on the ground, and I said, "You guys shouldn't be doing that. In the name of Jesus, you guys are sinful. I hope you burn in hell." I would say
some people do that.
They do, but they're not following Christ, which is my point. That's my point. That's all I'm trying to say. There's some horrible people. Hear. There's Westboro Baptist Church. Have you heard of them, right?
Yes.
And then you see those people, and I always see them, and I think there's people watching these people and thinking, "Yep, there's Christians for you."
So that's a really obvious way.
Yeah.
Obvious, like very extreme.
Westboro?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the worst.
But don't you think it's also damaging to just not allow them, like, we'll take gay marriage. I don't think homosexuality is a sin.
Right.
And for two people to not be allowed to live like the rest.
Well, my stance on that is twofold. I can say that I believe gay marriage is not what God wants. However, I can also say I don't think the government should prevent them from getting married. I'm not against gay marriage. I don't think on a government level that it should be illegal, because I don't think the government's job is to impose morality or impose.
Do you feel like that about
spiritual
abortion?
Beliefs? See, that's a different one.
That's a different one for you.
Only because that involves the harm, in my view, of another human.
Okay.
Just like I wouldn't say, I do think the government should have laws against hate crimes or people physically hurting the gay community. I would say, yeah, there should be laws against that. In the same way, I think there should be laws against what I view as killing a baby.
Okay.
So that's different, right? That goes beyond just a personal belief. Now you're involving someone else in your personal belief. To me, that's like saying, well, I think I can just shoot this guy in the face. No, you can't, Ryan. Well, why not?
Yeah.
Right? It's my personal belief to do so. Yeah, I want to. I don't like him. He's ugly, or whatever, right? So it's like, yeah. So that's why that one's different. Okay. As far as, I don't think murder should be ever okay. And I mean murder. I don't mean again, self-defense is different. Yeah. Capital punishment is a different issue. Ooh, I don't know where I stand on that. It is a big one, and we don't have time to go into that. No. But I go back and forth on that one. I'll just say that. I do. I don't know where I stand on it.
I do too.
Yeah. I did one of these yesterday, and that topic was brought up, and it was funny. I literally said I held one stance. I said, I'm pretty sure I'm on this side. And as I continued to talk, by the time I was done talking, I was on the other side again. And I was like, whoa, that was cool. Like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. That's a hard one.
So as of yesterday, I think I am not pro capital punishment. So,
okay.
Yeah. But as of yesterday, I was. And then 5 minutes after I wasn't. And I think that's still where I am right now. So it just depends. But
I'll have to listen to the episode then to see how you came up with that.
It'll come out right before yours. Yeah, so we're at the end. Unless there's anything else you want to do.
Oh gosh. No, are we really at the end?
We are. We're
yeah. Okay, no, good.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes.
That was awesome.
You're welcome.
That was really cool. That came out really cool.
That was a lot less scary than I thought it was going to be.
Good. I'm glad. I figured it would be.
It was like always, it was about me changing my mindset about the whole thing.
Right.
It was like.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's what I like to hear, especially when people are hesitant. I want them to walk out of here going, you know what? Actually, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. Thanks for listening. Do me a favor and help spread the word to those that you know. If you have any questions or comments for me, please send them my way. My email is whycan'twetallaboutthat@proton.me. I love getting feedback. Now here's a snippet from next week.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Like in regards to hell, you were talking earlier about when we were saying about the death penalty.
Yeah.
Should someone be given the opportunity to reconnect with God before something they pass or whatever?
Right.
So your version of hell, does that just mean like they have no connection to God, or that they just are a terrible person?
Of hell itself?
Or like who goes to hell?
Oh, of who goes to hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so my view on that